Chapter 52. Rumung, there's a pavilion on the top floor of the stone tower. Take me up to have a look. Sun Hao said. This. A trace of fear appeared on Huang Rumung's face. She clearly remembered that she was unable to get within 100 meters of the top floor of the stone pagoda. It was likely that there were restrictions covering it, making it extremely terrifying. These restrictions are very ancient. It is not a problem for them to destroy a half-immortal. Young Master actually wants to go up. I'm afraid. Rumung, what's wrong? Sun Hao asked. Young Master, it's okay. I will take you up, Huang Rumung said. Thinking of Sun Hao capturing the peerless fierce flood dragon with one hand, Huang Rumung was relieved. Huang Rumung took out a long sword and floated in front of her. Young Master, I will stand in front, Huang Rumung said. No need, just stand behind me. After speaking, Sun Hao leaped lightly and stood on the tip of the sword. His whole person was as stable as Mount Tai. Phew! The two of them rushed up and came to the top of the stone pagoda. Huang Rumung controlled the flying sword and stood 100 meters away, not daring to approach. Buzz, an indistinct restriction blocked the front, causing Huang Rumung's expression to change slightly. Rumung, come closer. Sun Hao looked at the pavilion on the stone tower, his eyes shining. This space was shaped like a pavilion, but it was much larger than a pavilion. Wouldn't it be great to set up tables and chairs, play the zither, paint, drink tea, and chat while enjoying the beautiful scenery? Thinking so, Sun Hao stretched out his right hand. Young Master, little before he finished his words. Kacha! The seal collapsed and split open like a piece of paper. This, Huang Rumung was stunned. Looking at Sun Hao, the light of worship shone inextinguishable. Young Master broke this ancient restriction with just his physical body. This is too terrifying. From the look of a young master, it seems that there are no restrictions. Young Master, you are so powerful. His methods and strength were unimaginable. The more she looked, the more Huang Rumung could not see through Sun Hao. Shocking almighty being? A peerless ruler? A supreme immortal? Everything was possible. Rumung, take me in, Sun Hao said. Yes, young Master. Huang Rumung took a few deep breaths and felt much better. What nice view. On the top floor of the stone tower, Sun Hao looked into the distance with a smile on his face. Yes, young Master. Huang Rumung stood beside Sun Hao and nodded slightly. I want to pay now. Rumung, please help me get the tools. Sun Hao said. All right. Huang Rumung nodded. After a while, Sun Hao spread out the rice paper and picked up the brush. The brush moved like dragons and snakes, and an ink landscape appeared vividly on the paper. On the paper, a man and a woman were standing on top of a mountain, looking at the mountains. Under the layers of clouds and mist was a continuous mountain range. This scene was extremely compatible with the current concept. Although the silhouette was blurry, the artistic conception was profound, making it hard for others to look away. Sun Hao picked up the pen and waved it again. In the blank space, he wrote 2 lines. When I reach the top, I look at all the mountains. The ascent to height painting was thus completed. Looking at the painting, Huang Rumung stood there in a daze, motionless. The scenery in front of her had completely changed. It was as if she was already standing in the painting, and the woman in the painting had become her. Phew! The wind and clouds in the painting surged rapidly. The surrounding spiritual energy, no, immortal energy, rushed over. Huang Rumung clearly felt that her strength was rapidly increasing. After a while, Kacha! On her body, the layer of membrane that blocked the cultivation base cracked with a sound. At this moment, she reached the first stage of the ascendant realm. There were 2 natural chasms between the ascendant realm and the immortal realm. The first was the transformation of spiritual power. This process was extremely slow. Ordinary cultivators generally took 1,000 years. Even if it was a monster, it would take at least 100 years. The process of spiritual power transformation was divided into 10 steps. Every 10% transformation, the strength would explode several times, so it was divided into 10 steps. Unexpectedly, in just 10 days, she had advanced from the crossing calamity realm to the first stage of the ascendant realm. If this were to be said, I am afraid that the old monster who has been sleeping for countless years would jump out. Everything was thanks to the young master. Huang Ruming looked at Sun Hao with admiration, gratitude, and love written all over her face. Young master. Huang Ruming ran quickly and hugged Sun Hao tightly. Ruming. A fragrant wind went straight into the nose. There was a softness in his chest. In some places, it was uncontrollable, like a dragon soaring into the sky. Unstoppable. Huang Ruming sensed the strangeness of Sun Hao's body, and her face was slightly red. She hugged him tightly and didn't dare to move. Sun Hao didn't dare to move. Huang Ruming was a cultivator. He was just a mortal. If he were to dual cultivate with her, he might use too much force. Gotcha. It was cut off. Just thinking about it gave him a lingering fear. He would have to wait until he could cultivate and reach the same level of strength. Young master, are you home? At this moment, a voice came from outside the courtyard. Huang Ruming quickly let go of Sun Hao and stood aside with a red face. It's them. In Sun Hao's eyes, a strange light bloomed, and he could harvest the blessing point again. It had been almost 2 days since he returned from Jianyang City. As for Huang Ruming, as early as a few days ago, she was unable to obtain blessing points. He didn't know if it was because they were too familiar with each other, or if there was a limit. Today, when they came over, they could harvest a wave of blessing points. Ruming, take me down, Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. After the two of them landed, they opened the courtyard door. Greetings, young master. Seeing Sun Hao, Chun Daoming, Luo Luyin, and Su Yiling saluted respectfully. Sun Hao cupped his fists. Brother Chun, did you come together? Yes, young master. Chun Daoming stood up. In his eyes, there was incomparable reverence. He took out a jade bottle and handed it to Sun Hao. Young master, a little something. Please accept it. Bring a gift again? Really exquisite. Cultivators were polite. Brother Chun, you were so polite. Sun Hao took the jade bottle, opened it, and a fragrance came. Inside, it was an elixir that was flowing with purple light. At first glance, it was not an ordinary thing. This thing, I will definitely use in the future. Thank you, Brother Chun. Please come inside. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Chun Daoming nodded and strode in. Luo Luyin and Su Yiling looked sad when they saw this scene. This time, they didn't bring a gift for the young master, and they really didn't have the face to go in. Miss Luyin, Miss Yiling, don't be stunned. Come in quickly, Sun Hao said. The two women looked sluggish, wanting to enter, but not daring to enter. Sister Luyin, Sister Yiling, don't dawdle. Huang Ruming walked to the side of the two women and pulled them into the courtyard. Thousand-colored God Lotus. Chun Daoming's face changed drastically when he saw the lotus in the pond. It had only been a month, but unexpectedly, the demon lotus had grown thousands of petals. So many petals, this strength, I am afraid, is unimaginable. Chun Daoming looked at the thousand-color God Lotus, his eyes full of awe. If this goes on, it won't be long before it becomes a thousand-color God Lotus. At that time, how terrifying would the strength of this lotus demon be? Thinking about it, it made people afraid. Chapter 53. Brother Chun, ladies, since we all know each other, let's finish our meal before leaving. Today you're in luck, Sun Hao said. Many thanks, young master. Before waiting for others to answer, Su Yiling spoke first. Ever since he ate the white porridge and carrots last time, he had tasted the marrow and craved the taste. It was hard to forget. To be able to freeload a meal at the young master's place was something that could not be achieved even in several lifetimes. Luo Luyin opened her mouth, unable to say anything more. Young master, then I'll go cook. Huang Ruming said. Okay. Sun Hao nodded. I'll go help. Luo Luyin and the two women quickly followed Huang Ruming. At the scene, only Sun Hao and Chun Daoming were left. Chun Daoming lowered his head, looking nervous. Brother Chun, come, let's drink some tea. Yes, young master. Chun Daoming nodded, his face full of expectations. The two of them sat down. Sun Hao said, Brother Chun, we drank Biluakun and Dahong Pao last time. This time, let's change the taste and drink Tai Guanin. Tai Guanin? In Chun Daoming's eyes, there was a trace of doubt. Clearly, He had never heard of this name before. Sun Hao smiled slightly and began to brew tea. Brother Chun, have you been to Jianyang City recently? Sun Hao asked. As soon as these words came out, Chun Dao Ming trembled. The test had come. Later on, I must remember every word of young master. No, he had to remember every expression and every movement. If I can't comprehend it myself, I'll look for Senior Liu Yin to discuss it. Chun Daoming secretly made a decision, his expression extremely dignified. Young master, I have been there. Have you ever seen a human puppet? Sun Hao asked. Jianyang City, human puppet? What was the young master hinting at? Young master, I have seen him. Chun Dao Ming answered truthfully. Hearing this, Sun Hao looked at Chun Dao Ming with admiration on his face. To be able to escape from that invulnerable monster, it proved that this kid's strength was not bad. The puppet clan is a kind of evil race? Then do you know if there are other evil races besides the puppet race? Sun Hao asked. Young master, in addition to the human puppet clan, there are also the corpse puppet clan, the heart-devouring clan, the soul puppet clan. Chun Dao Ming began to introduce seriously. Every race was introduced in great detail. When Sun Hao heard this, he frowned secretly. The wretched state of the waiter from 2 days ago still lingered in his mind. His head was bitten through, and his brain was drunk clean. It was simply too terrifying. Such a race should not exist in this world. Sun Hao threw the dead branch in his hand heavily. The withered branch fell straight into the Jasper Lake, causing ripples. Chun Daoming looked at this scene and was shocked. The young master wants me to destroy the evil race. Understand. Chun Daoming clenched his fists, and his eyes shone with excitement. Brother Chun, I'm sorry for making you laugh. Sun Hao withdrew his emotions and sat down again. Where? Chun Daoming said. Phew. The fragrance of the tea wafted into the backyard. Gua gua. At this moment a duck quacked. After Chun Daoming heard it, he looked up, seeing the scene in the sky. Chun Daoming's pupils shrank, and his face changed dramatically. This is the nine heavens god Luan, my god. Is it here to steal young master's tea? It's over, in front of this kind of beast. I can't even move a finger. Chun Daoming muttered to himself, and his face was pale. He stared blankly at the nine heavens god Luan descending from the sky, powerless. The huge wings seemed to be able to cover the entire sky. The wind was blowing everywhere, whistling incessantly. Boundless pressure surged forth. Chun Daoming stood in place like a statue. It's not that he didn't want to move, but he couldn't move at all. How can there be a nine heavens god Luan here? Too terrible. In the next second, he was even more frightened. He saw that after the divine Luan landed, it turned into the size of a rooster. At this time, the pressure on his body suddenly disappeared. The divine Luan quickly walked to Sun Hao's side and kept rubbing its neck on Sun Hao's trousers. He looked like a dog trying to curry favor with his master. My God, is the nine heavens god Luan trying to please the young master? Is it not here to rob the young master's treasure? Is it raised by the young master? Thinking about it. Boom! Like a thunderbolt in his mind, he couldn't calm down for a long time. It was terrible. The pet raised by the young master turned out to be the nine heavens god Luan. My ancestor, raising a divine beast as a pet? In this world, apart from the young master, who can do it? How strong is the young master? Unimaginable. The young master is so powerful. Then what about the master behind him, the Grand Master of Heaven? That is simply a supreme existence. At this point, Chun Daoming took a few breaths, and his body trembled violently. Xiaoying, do you want a drink? Sun Hao said. This name was given by Huang Rumeng, so Sun Hao also called it this way. Quack! Yingyu nodded like a chicken pecking rice. No, the guests haven't drunk yet. How can you move first? After speaking, Sun Hao poured a cup of tea for Chun Daoming and handed it to him. Chun Daoming sensed Yingyu's unkind eyes, and his expression stagnated. Brother Chun, drink. Sun Hao raised his glass. This, young master, feed a cup. Chun Daoming said. No hurry. Sun Hao seemed to find something wrong. He looked at Yingyu's body like a fighting cock and couldn't help but frown slightly. This guy doesn't want to live. Daring to stare at the cultivator like this, if he goes crazy and kills you with a knife, he can't protect himself. He is a master who can survive in front of the puppet. Really not sensible. Sun Hao looked at Yu and said, "Why are you staring at the guest like this? Don't be honest, or I will make you into a roast chicken." As soon as these words came out, Yu was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly lay at Sun Hao's feet, shivering. Chen Daoming looked at this scene, and his heart was in turmoil, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. In front of the young master, the divine beast also had to lie down. What is the identity of the young master? It is so terrifying. "Brother Chun, drink." Sun Hao raised his cup. Thank you, young master." Chen Daoming also raised his cup and took a sip. The fragrance of tea overflowed and filled his mouth. After the tea entered his mouth, it turned into a stream of extremely pure, immortal power, rushing to the meridians of the whole body. Through the meridians, it improved the body and meridians. At this moment, Chen Daoming sensed that his body was rapidly strengthening. Immortal tea. Chen Daoming's heart trembled, and his face was full of shock. With a small sip, his body became several times stronger. After this cup, his body would be hundreds of times stronger. Chen Daoming looked at Sun Hao, and his eyes were full of gratitude. "Young master, don't worry, I will eradicate the evil race." A cup of tea went down. Chen Daoming's body became 1,000 times stronger. He was afraid that even a high-grade spirit weapon would not be able to hurt him. If he faced Xue Sha now, Chen Daoming was confident that he could punch him into dust. "Young master's great kindness, I can't repay it." Chen Daoming looked at Sun Hao with a grateful face. Another cup. Sun Hao didn't wait for Chen Daoming to react and continued to pour him a cup. Just now, this guy drank a cup of tea, and he got 100 blessing points. How could he not give him another cup? Chapter 54. Chen Daoming looked at the cup in front of him, and his eyes were full of emotions. This immortal tea was not inferior to the Tao Comprehension tea at all. Every cup of tea was a supreme fortune. "Thank you," Chen Daoming said. "Brother Chun, it's just a cup of tea. It's not worth mentioning. Come, drink it," Sun Hao said. "Yes, young master." Chen Daoming continued to drink. He didn't dare to drink too much and only savored it carefully. Chen Daoming's action was clearly captured by Sun Hao. "Looks like Brother Chun likes my tea very much." Sun Hao nodded secretly, stood up quietly, and walked into the house. A moment later, Sun Hao picked up a few bags of tea and walked out. After Chen Daoming finished drinking, Sun Hao said, "Brother Chun, does it taste good?" "Delicious?" This was immortal tea. Furthermore, it was an immortal tea that could temper one's physical body. This was something that could not be bought with money. How could it be delicious? "Young master, it's delicious." Chen Daoming nodded. "Do you like it?" Sun Hao said with a smile. "I like it." Chen Daoming nodded. "Since you like it, Brother Chun, take some back to drink." After speaking, Sun Hao handed 3 bags of tea to Chen Daoming. Chen Daoming's scalp was numb, and a sense of uneasiness was written on his face. After he nervously opened it, he was dumbfounded. This is Tao Enlightenment tea. There are thousands of them, Patriarch. This is Supreme Spirit tea, Immortal tea. There are thousands of them. A single tea leaf was already a peerless treasure. How could he dare to accept so many? "Young master, this, Chen Daoming's heart was beating wildly, and he took a few long breaths, but he could not calm down. These tea leaves completely shattered his worldview. It was simply unimaginable. "What's wrong?" Sun Hao said. "Young master, I can't take it." Chen Daoming said. "Let's not talk about how expensive this thing is." His strength alone was far from enough to protect such a thing. If news of him obtaining so many peerless treasures were spread, he would definitely be blasted into ashes. "What? Do you look down on my things?" Sun Hao's face had a trace of anger. Hearing this, Chen Daoming's body trembled. Young master was angry. Could it be that the young master had a deeper meaning for giving him these tea leaves? That must be it. I wonder what young master's intentions are. He had to think carefully. Since that was the case, he had to accept the tea leaves. Chen Daoming thought secretly, holding the tea leaves in his hand. "Young master, Naturally not. But these things are too precious. Chen Daoming said. It's good that brother Chen doesn't mind. Sun Hao said. In that case, many thanks, young master. After Chen Daoming finished, he put the 3 bags of tea into the space ring. Ding, blessing points plus 300. A sound rang out. After Sun Hao heard it, his eyes sparkled. As expected, a few bags of tea leaves had reaped so many blessing points. Not bad at all. Now, the total blessing points had reached 8,400. It was very likely that it would break through 10,000 today. What should I give to those 2 ladies later? They seem to like calligraphy and paintings. Then give them calligraphy and paintings. Thinking like this, Sun Hao secretly made a decision. Not long after, the meal was ready. The 5 of them took their seats. There were 6 dishes on the table. Stir-fried lettuce, vinegar, shredded potatoes, mapo tofu. There wasn't even the slightest bit of meat. However, in the eyes of Chen Daoming and the others, their eyes bloomed with a strange light. Just smelling the fragrance, his stomach cried out unconsciously. These things, without tasting, knew that they were all supreme elixirs. Usually, a supreme elixir was difficult to find. When the elixir matured, it would generally produce a vision, attracting countless cultivators to come to compete. The powerful ones might be able to seize the elixir. The weak ones would either die or be envious by the side. For a long time, they could only stand by with envy and jealousy. In the young master's place, these things were like home-cooked dishes, not worth mentioning. Who could compare with the young master in today's world? Rumung, the remaining half of the eel should be stewed. Help me get it. Yes, young master. Huang Rumung quickly retreated. Miss Luyin, Miss Yiling, Brother Chen, this time I caught a big eel, and there is still half left, just enough for us to eat. Sun Hao said, Eel. The young master actually liked to eat this kind of vulgar thing. With these elixirs to eat, how could he still eat that kind of vulgar thing? However, in front of the young master, he had to eat 2 bites. Thank you, young master. After a while, Huang Rumung carried a large clay pot and placed it on the table. The lid of the pot was opened. The steaming hot steam rose straight up. The boiling white soup was like a pot of boiling water. A unique fragrance came to their faces. When the steam evaporated, boom! It was like the 9th heaven divine thunder blasted into their heads. Luo Luyin and the other 2 looked at the head in the big clay pot, and they were all stunned in place. Is this an eel? This is clearly a flood dragon. In the entire western regions, the place where there is a flood dragon is only the Ghost Dragon Lake. That peerless, fierce flood dragon swallowed an 8th-class sect every month, leaving no survivors in the entire sect. Despite this, the peerless, fierce flood dragon was still alive. Even the Supreme Court did not dare to obliterate it, because this fierce flood dragon was a branch member of the ancient dragon clan. Even if it was tyrannical in the human race powerhouses could only swallow their anger. Could it be that the flood dragon in the pot was that peerless, fierce flood dragon? The young master even dared to eat the dragon race? Thinking of this, the 3 of them trembled, and they sucked in cold air. In today's world, who else has such courage as the young master? Young master, did you catch this eel in the Ghost Dragon Lake? Luo Luyin asked. Hey, Miss Luyin, do you know? Sun Hao's face showed a trace of surprise. This, Luo Luyin and the other 2 took a breath of cold air. Sure enough, the young master caught this peerless, fierce flood dragon. Guys, don't just stand there, eat. Sun Hao's voice awakened the 3 of them. Seeing Sun Hao move his chopsticks, the others followed in turn. Luo Luyin picked up a piece of fierce flood dragon meat, and her chopsticks trembled slightly. This peerless, fierce flood dragon actually became a piece of meat on her chopsticks. This feeling was like a dream, very unreal. The flood dragon meat was sent into her mouth. Fragrant, the incomparably mellow aroma filled the entire mouth cavity. The taste buds on the tongue, at this moment, were all active. The flood dragon meat melted in her mouth, and the power of immortal and spirit rushed through her whole body. Luo Luyin could clearly sense that her strength was rapidly increasing. A moment later, Kacha, the membrane of the realm, instantly burst. At this moment, she reached the Mahayana realm. Just a mouthful of flood dragon meat, and her strength increased so much. If she ate 2 more mouthfuls, how would it be? Luo Luyan was not polite. She ate silently. None of the 5 people spoke, and they ate by themselves. Sun Hao also didn't want to break the atmosphere of eating at the moment. On his face, there was a faint smile. Even if she was a cultivator, so what? Above the world? Hee hee. That was because she didn't eat delicious food. In front of her own delicious food, would she still have to obediently surrender? Ding, blessing point +5. Ding, blessing point +3. Such a prompt sounded once from time to time. After Sun Hao heard it, he was even more comfortable. Soon after, perfect Mahayana realm. Luo Luoyan's face showed a trace of regret. If time could go back to the day of eating with the young master, she would have to finish eating before leaving. If she finished eating that day, maybe she would have reached the crossing calamity realm now. Reaching this realm, in the entire western region, she could also be regarded as a strong person. What a pity. Luo Luyan looked at the whole table of dishes, only a little soup left, and couldn't help but sigh. Quack! At this time a duck sounded. A golden pheasant surrounded Sun Hao, quacking. Luo Luyan looked up, and her pupils shrank. Such a good-looking golden pheasant? No, this was the 9 Heavens God Luan. God! 9 Heavens God Luan was the young master's pet. How is this possible? When had this kind of beast ever been raised by anyone? When had it ever fawned on its master like a dog? What the hell happened here? At this moment, Luo Luoyan's worldview was completely broken. Chapter 55. Under Luo Luoyan's stunned gaze, Sun Hao picked up the remaining leftovers, put them in a bowl, and sent them to Ingyu. Croak! Ingyu began to eat in big mouthfuls. Seeing this scene in Luo Luoyan's eyes, she could not calm down for a long time. How could a dignified divine beast end up like this? No, it should be said that this was the fortune of the 9 Heavens God Luan. It seemed that the young master's realm was far beyond his imagination. Hiss! Luo Luyan took a few breaths. This is too delicious. This is the best thing I've ever eaten. Su Yiling touched her round belly with a look of satisfaction. This meal not only satisfied his appetite, but it also caused his strength to soar. Now he had reached the middle stage of the insightful void realm. Furthermore, there was still a lot of undigested food in his stomach. Once he digested all of it, he might even reach the Mahayana realm. Reaching the Mahayana realm at the age of 20? Let me ask, in the whole world, who could do it except me? Su Yiling? However, all of this fortune depends on the young master. Thinking of this, Su Yiling looked at Sun Hao with gratitude. Since you like it, come often in the future. Sun Hao said, Young master, really? Su Yiling's eyes flashed with a strange light. A little home-cooked food, as long as Miss Yiling likes it, then come often. Sun Hao said, Thank you, young master. Su Yiling looked moved. Shun Daoming was also stunned at the moment. He broke through from a nascent soul realm to the void transformation realm in an instant. He had crossed 2 realms in a row. This feeling of soaring was incomparably comfortable. All of this was because of the young master. Shun Daoming muttered, clenching his fists. Young master. Luo Luyan wanted to speak, but stopped. Miss Luyan, just say it. Sun Hao said, Young master, the painting scroll you gave to Yiling last time was destroyed by me. After speaking, Luo Luyan took out a picture scroll and presented it to Sun Hao. Hearing this, Sun Hao's eyes flashed. It just so happened that he could give him the paintings. Sun Hao picked it up and opened it. He couldn't help but frown slightly. All the ink on it disappeared. This lovesickness painting was painted by him before his painting skills reached a supreme level. The use of paper and ink was very ordinary. Now, the one he was using was on a whole new level. Even if he gave it to them, it wouldn't fade. Miss Luyan, don't worry about it. Since the 2 ladies like it, I'll give you 2 more. After speaking, Sun Hao quickly ran back to the house, took out 2 scrolls, one for each person, and handed them to the 2 women. Young master, how can this be? The 2 women's expressions changed slightly, and they waved their hands repeatedly. This time, he didn't bring any gifts. It was already embarrassing enough that he was still freeloading. How could he have the face to accept such a peerless treasure. What? You don't like it? Sun Hao pulled a long face and looked a little angry. Seeing this scene, the two women shuddered. How could he not like her? It was because he didn't dare to accept it. Young Master seemed to be very angry. He had no choice but to pick it up. The two girls looked at each other and took the scroll. Thank you, young master. The two women clasped their fists. You're too polite. Sun Hao's face showed a touch of joy. These shoujo were really strange. He had given them gifts out of goodwill, but they actually rejected this and that. Their faces darkened slightly, but they accepted it. Could it be? Were they afraid of him? Impossible. Sun Hao shook his head slightly. He was immortal. How could they be afraid of him? If they weren't afraid of him, then they were afraid of the master behind him. This feeling was pretty good. It seemed that Chun Dao Ming had told the two about his master behind him. It was not good to spread it like this. One day, it would be revealed. He had to find a way to stop them from continuing to disclose. Brother Chun, do you know Miss Luyan? Sun Hao asked. Yes, young master, we are fellow Taoists. Chun Dao Ming said. It turned out to be so. It seemed that the relationship was not ordinary. Very good. Between fellow Taoists, we should help each other, Sun Hao said. Hearing this, Chun Dao Ming's body trembled. Could it be? Chun Dao Ming's eyes shone. By the way, Brother Chun, Master is traveling around the world and will not come back for a while. This matter must not be told to others, you know, Sun Hao said solemnly. As soon as these words came out, Chun Dao Ming's three faces changed slightly. The three thought carefully with a puzzled face. Young master, rest assured, no third person knows about this except us, Chun Dao Ming said. Young master, since you told me this, we will never say it. Luo Luyin and the other two women also stood up, full of promises. Hearing this, Sun Hao breathed a sigh of relief and relaxed. With their guarantee, at least the speed of transmission would be much slower. When they reacted, he could already cultivate. So, thank you three. Sun Hao said, Young master, you are welcome. Young master, it's getting late. We will leave first today. Luo Luyin took the lead to stand up and salute with her fists. Have a cup of tea before you go, Sun Hao said. When Su Yiling heard this, her eyes shone. When she was about to answer, she was glared at by Luo Luyin and stopped talking. Young master, thank you. I will not disturb you today. I will visit you another day, Luo Luyin said. That's fine, take care. Chun Dao Ming and the other two were sent away. In Sun Hao's eyes, his eyes were shining. Today, it could be said to be a big profit. He had obtained more than 4,000 blessing points, and the total blessing points had exceeded 10,000. Harvesting blessing points turned out to be so simple. The more willing, the more blessing points he would harvest. Next time when they come over, he would try to send them more. If this goes on, he believed that he would be able to start cultivating in the near future. Young master, what makes you so happy? Huang Ruming asked. Hearing this, Sun Hao was slightly startled. Then he showed an inscrutable smile. Rumong soon will be able to cultivate, and at that time, I will protect you. Huang Rumong looked surprised, and her face was full of joy. So, the young master's experience of the mortal world is coming to an end? The young master said to protect me? Wouldn't that mean that after the experience of the mortal world, he would not forget himself? Thinking about it, Huang Rumong blushed for a while, and a happy smile was written all over her face. Young master, thank you, Huang Rumong said. Rumong, don't be polite to me. Sun Hao pretended to be angry. Okay, young master. Huang Rumong nodded slightly and quickly cleaned up the dishes and chopsticks on the table. Young master, I will wash the dishes first, and you will teach me how to play the guqin later. Rumong, let me wash it today. I always let you wash it. How can I be embarrassed? Sun Hao said, Young master, don't fight with Rumong for this little thing. Otherwise, Rumong will feel that she is useless. Huang Rumong said, That's fine. After washing, we will play the guqin. Okay. Looking at Huang Ruming's back, Sun Hao felt like a dream, extremely unreal. Ruming's strength is so strong. If I can also cultivate, that would be great. Rumong, you wait. I will try my best to catch up with you. Chapter 56. Luo Luyin walked on the road with a solemn face. Fellow Taoist Chun, I just thought about it all the way, but I couldn't understand the young master's meaning. Did he guide you? Luo Luyan asked. Chen Dao Ming looked nervous, looked around, and lowered his voice. Fellow Taoist Luo, this is not the place to talk. Can you find a safe place? Okay. Luo Luyan nodded. Fellow Taoist Chun. Then come with me to Jade Lake Palace to talk. Okay. The two got up, turned into a long rainbow, and flew away quickly. Master, wait for me. Su Yiling followed closely. One day later, the three came to a secret room in Jade Lake Palace. After sitting down, Chun Dao Ming said, the young master said that the evil race should not exist in the world. What do you mean should be for me to eradicate the evil race? Yes, that's what I mean, but it's impossible for you to eradicate the evil race alone. Luo Luyan shook her head slightly, indicating that she could not understand. Fellow Taoist Luo, these are the 3 bags of tea that the young master gave me. I didn't accept them, and the young master was angry. It must be related to the young master's test. After speaking, Chen Daoming took 3 bags of tea. As soon as this thing came out, Luo Luyan and Luo Luyan were stunned in place, and they did not recover for a long time. Buzz, Luo Luyan quickly arranged a series of formations covering the surroundings. These things, I'm afraid that if they flow out, it will lead to a fatal disaster. The young master gave you such a precious thing. I'm afraid there is a deep meaning in this matter. Luo Luyan said. I think so too. After Chun Daoming finished, he began to think. Su Yiling stood aside, scratching her head from time to time. With a confused face, the young master gave you this tea. Isn't it for drinking? How can it be so simple? Don't cross. Luo Luyan shouted softly. Oh. Su Yiling spat out her tongue and sat weakly. Suddenly. Understood. Chun Daoming patted his thigh with a happy face. Fellow Taoist Chun, you say it. Luo Luyan looked forward to it. Fellow Taoist Luo, the young master first reminded me that the evil race should not exist in the world. This is to tell me to eradicate them. Then he handed me 3 bags of tea, referring to the 3 of us, meaning that the 3 of us are the center, representing the young master to eradicate the evil race. The young master also said that fellow Taoists should help each other. He must want us to recruit talents and fight against the evil race together. These 3 bags of tea may be the reward from the young master. Chen Daoming said. Hearing this, Luo Luyan nodded secretly, showing a look of understanding. You're right. However, how is this person going to confess? If he's too strong, I'm afraid he'll be disloyal. If he's too weak, he's not a match for the evil race. Besides, where's the nest of the evil race? Where they attack next? What are the young master's instructions? Luo Luyan said. This question made Chun Daoming speechless. Taoist Luo, what do you think? Chun Daoming asked. You first tell me every word and every action that the young master said. Luo Luyan said. All right. Next, Chun Daoming told the situation when he saw Sun Hao yesterday. When Chun Daoming said that Sun Hao had accidentally lost a dead branch, his eyes flashed. Wither branches? Pool? No, that was Jade Pool. Could it be that it represented Jade Pool? The young master meant that the evil race would attack the Jade Pool Palace? God! At this point, Luo Yuyan's whole body was cold. She said her analysis, and Chun Daoming was shocked, and his body trembled. Senior Luo, your perception is so good. With the temper of the evil race, you killed so many of their people, and it's natural to attack the Jade Pool Palace. Chen Daoming said, Thank you so much for your guidance. Otherwise, we won't even know how we died. Luo Luyan showed a look of fear. The evil race will definitely come this time to shock the tiger. The strong person sent must be by no means simple. I wonder if the young master has any other instructions? Luo Luyan said. Taoist Luo, those 2 paintings. Chen Daoming said. Yes. Luo Luyan took out one of the paintings and slowly unfolded it. This was a green pine painting. Thousands of miles of ice, thousands of miles of snow. A green pine stood proudly, fighting against the wind and snow. On it, there was a sentence. The heavy snow pressed the green pine, and the green pine was straight and upright. That kind of unyielding will and Tao rhyme rose continuously and rushed out. After seeing it, the three people couldn't help but change their faces. Such a terrifying Tao rhyme, at least 10,000 times stronger than that Ling Shi painting exclamation point. The young master is really terrifying, Luo Luyan murmured, her face full of shock. Putting aside the Tao rhyme, just look at the picture. Chun Dao Ming and Luo Luyan watched for a long time, but they couldn't think of anything. Hey, change it. Okay. Next, another picture scroll was unfolded. This was a climbing high painting. When you reach the top, you can see all the mountains are small. That kind of domineering, that kind of supreme feeling surged all over your body. On the painting scroll, the clouds seemed to flow out. A man and a woman were looking at the scenery. What does this mean? The two were very close, and it seemed that this meant that they needed to join forces. Was it that simple? Luo Luyan frowned, thinking about it, but she didn't understand what it meant. Daoist Chun, can you understand anything? Luo Luyan asked. Hey, no. Chen Daoming sighed heavily, looking helpless. The young master's test is too difficult. Yes. The two continued to stare at the painting scroll, frowning and thinking deeply. Su Yiling held her head in her hands and sighed. Master, when will you be done? It's so boring. However, the two did not respond to her. Su Yiling was like a transparent person. Master's brain is so good, but you can't figure it out. What is this painting? Su Yiling walked forward, and when she saw the climbing high painting, she couldn't help but exclaim, What a beautiful cloud! What a beautiful blue sky! Hearing this, Luo Luoyan's body trembled. She seemed to have caught something, but she couldn't figure it out. The sky? Isn't the sky the heavens? The young master deliberately painted the blue sky so big. Isn't this the Supreme Court? She was so stupid that she couldn't figure it out. It was so stupid. I know. This refers to the Supreme Court, Luo Luyan said. When Chun Dao Ming heard it, he showed a look of sudden realization. Taoist Luo, your perception, I can't catch up with it. Chun Dao Ming's face was full of admiration. No. Luo Luyan breathed a sigh of relief, with doubts on her face. Although the young master pointed out the Supreme Court, what does this mean? Does the young master mean that there are evil races in the Supreme Court? Or should we join forces with the Supreme Court to fight against the evil races? What does this painting green pine painting mean? Luo Luyan said. Chun Dao Ming listened to these and shook his head for a while. The young master's instructions are too profound. Yes. Luo Luyan sighed secretly, looking dispirited. At this time, Palace Master, the people of the Supreme Court are here. The voice of the disciple sounded outside the door. Chapter 57. Over the Jade Lake Palace, a flying boat floated in the sky. On the flying ship, a blue-robed woman held a jade slip in her hand and read it carefully. On the jade slip, it was written, The rumor of Jianyang City is true. There is a sea of blood, and the evil spirits were killed by Buddha. It seems that the Nirvana realm is born. Seeing this news, the blue-clothed woman nodded slightly. Has Elysium really appeared? Then this matter is easy to understand. The woman in blue was none other than the student of the Supreme Court, Mu Bing. There was no sadness or joy on her face. It was as if nothing in this world could affect her. In that case, the godly cunning immortal is indeed non-existent. Luyan, I don't know what realm the master you're talking about has reached. Can you take a palm strike from me? But you really surprised me a little. You've actually attained the void interpretation realm. Mu Bing muttered to herself as she slowly floated down from the sky. Follow me down. Yes. Hundreds of men and women wearing blue clothes and holding long swords followed behind Mu Bing and flew down. Overall, he looked like an immortal descending to the mortal world, handsome to the extreme. After a while, they landed on the square of Jade Lake Palace. Fellow practitioner Mu, your presence really brings light to Jade Lake Palace. At this time, Luo Luyan came forward with the disciples and saluted. The moment she saw Luo Luyan, Mu Bing's pupils shrank slightly. He has actually reached the Mahayana realm? How is this possible? Mu Bing murmured as her mind raced. She remembered that when Luo Luyin left the Supreme Court, she was only in the nascent soul realm. At that time, he had already reached the perfected hollowness realm. After so many years, he had only reached the early stage of the crossing calamity, although he had been suppressing his cultivation level in recent years. But overall, the progress was rather slow. She, on the other hand, had reached the Mayana realm. She was only one step away from catching up to him. Although he and Luo Luyin were good friends, he was a genius of the Supreme Court, and Luo Luyin was just a waste disciple. Mu Bing said indifferently, "What? Am I not welcome?" "Huh." Luo Luyin laughed and said, "Fellow Taoist Mu, you are still so otherworldly. What you cultivate is the sword Tao, not the heartless Tao." "What does that matter?" Mu Bing nodded. "Fellow Taoist Mu, please come in. Let's have tea and chat." Luo Luyin said, "There's no need for tea. This time, I have something to ask you." Mu Bing said. Luo Luyin shook her head secretly. She was also going to borrow a piece of enlightenment tea from fellow Taoist Chun. Since she didn't want to drink it, he could save himself the favor. "Let's chat inside." After they entered the hall and sat down, Mu Bing was the first to speak. "Fellow practitioner Luo, have you heard of the invasion of evil spirits in Jianyang City?" "Naturally. I was at the scene," Luo Luyin said. "So, it was you who saved the entire Jianyang City?" Mu Bing asked. "No." Luo Luyin shook her head for a while. "This has nothing to do with me." "What do you mean?" Mu Bing asked. "Because all of this was guided by an expert. The one who destroyed the Earth Fiend was also that expert. And I'm just a thug at best," Luo Luyin said. "So, there really is the godly cunning immortal?" Mu Bing asked. "Godly cunning immortal?" Luo Luyin looked puzzled. "Oh, this is the name that the cultivators of the world gave to the master behind you," Mu Bing said. "Understood." Luo Luyin nodded. "Fellow Taoist Luo, can you take me to see that master?" Mu Bing said. "This." Luo Luyin showed a difficult look, and then she shook her head secretly. "Fellow Taoist Mu, I'm really sorry. That master likes quiet and doesn't like to be disturbed. I'm afraid it's not appropriate for me to take you there rashly." "Like quiet?" "Not a good excuse." It seemed that there was no master at all. The one who destroyed the Earth Fiend was a master of Elysium. Take this kind of credit to the master behind her. Hee hee. Mu Bing laughed secretly, but there was no change on her face. She was about to get up and leave. At this time, "Fellow Taoist Luo, I understand." Chen Daoming rushed into the hall and said loudly. When he saw Mu Bing, he clasped his fist and saluted, "Greetings, fellow Taoist Mu." Seeing Chen Daoming, Mu Bing's face changed slightly. "There's actually a male cultivator in this Jade Lake Palace?" Did she change to the emotional path? Mu Bing nodded slightly, and her face did not change. "Really?" Luo Luyin quickly stood up and ran to Chen Daoming. "Let's go." The two quickly walked out of the hall and came to a secret room. "Fellow Taoist Luo, this green pine painting, doesn't it refer to Mu Bing?" Chen Daoming said. "Mu Bing? Does this have anything to do with Mu Bing?" Luo Luyin frowned secretly, and then showed a look of surprise. "This green pine refers to wood, Mu Tong Mu, and the ice-bound thousands of miles secretly refers to ice. It happens to refer to Mu Bing." It turns out that the young master had already calculated that Mu Bing would come, and gave us these two paintings, which had already hinted at everything. I didn't expect that we were so stupid that we only understood it now. Luo Luyin took a few deep breaths, showing a happy face. "Fellow Taoist Chun, thank you." "You're welcome. I only realized it when I saw Mu Bing coming. I'm ashamed." Chen Daoming said. "So, the young master wants us to join forces with Mu Bing to fight against the evil race?" Luo Luyin said. "It seems that this is the case. Then I will take her to see the young master. I will trouble fellow Taoist Chun to help Yiling and lay out the Jade Lake Palace together to prevent the evil race from taking advantage of it." Luo Luyin said. "Master, I want to go with you too." Su Yiling said. "What are you going to do?" Luo Luyin said. "I'm going." She wanted to say that she was going to freeload, but Su Yiling really couldn't pull her face. Besides, her stomach was still quite bloated now, and it had not been fully absorbed. Do you want to freeload again? There are no gifts for the young master. Are you embarrassed to go? Luo Luyan said. Su Yiling was speechless and helpless. Stay in the Jade Lake Palace and cultivate. It's up to you to fight against the evil race. The young master's painting, keep it with you. In case of danger, it will save your life. After speaking, Luo Luyan ran out. Back to the hall, she saw that Mu Bing had disappeared. Without saying a word, she hurried out. Fellow Taoist Mu wait. Seeing that Mu Bing had already flown up, Luo Luyan hurriedly spoke. What's the matter? Mu Bing said. Fellow Taoist Mu, there is indeed something. This is not the place to talk. Let's talk inside. Luo Luyan said. That's good. Under the leadership of Luo Luyan, the two were taken to a secret room. Fellow Taoist Mu, I didn't understand the young master's meaning before. Now I understand. Luo Luyan said. When these words reached Mu Bing's ears, she was confused for a while. What young master? What do you understand? I'm sorry, I spoke too hastily. The young master is the expert behind me. He is an unimaginable existence. Now, he is experiencing the mortal world as a mortal. He instructed us to destroy the entire evil race. He calculated that the evil race will soon attack my Jade Lake Palace, and let you and I join forces to fight against the evil race. Chapter 58. An unimaginable existence? Calculate everything? Experience the world as a mortal? Hearing this, Mu Bing sneered in her heart. What a good imagination, worshipping a mortal as a god, and even taking the credit for the experts from the Elysium? Is this still the Luo Luyan I know? Even though that was what he was thinking, his expression didn't change. Fellow Taoist Mu, since the young master asked you and me to unite, then come with me to see the young master. Maybe he will have new instructions. Luo Luyan said. Follow you to see that mortal? Good. Let's see what tricks you have up your sleeves. If you've really been bewitched by an evil spirit, don't blame me for not considering our sisterhood. All right, Mu Bing said calmly. Then, the two walked out of the Jade Lake Palace and flew to the Great Monster Mountain. One day later, the two of them arrive at the edge of Great Demon Mountain. Mu Bing, I know you don't believe me, but we are like sisters. There are a few things that I have to tell you in advance. Otherwise, if you miss out on a great opportunity, you will regret it. Don't be arrogant in front of the young master. Since the young master has designated us to destroy the evil race, this is the supreme good fortune. As soon as Luo Luyan opened her mouth, she had no intention of stopping. Mu Bing's ears grew calluses as she listened, and a trace of impatience surged in her heart. For the sake of her reputation, she did not get angry. I know, Mu Bing said. If we fly down, we must go up from the foot of the mountain. Only then can we show our sincerity. All right. The two of them landed and walked up the mountain step by step. Up the steps, beside the road, was a small stream. The clear stream water collided with the rocks, causing steam to rise up in spirals. The mist shrouded the peach blossom forest, making it look like a fairyland. When the wind blew, the fragrance of peaches wafted into one's nose, making one feel refreshed. Seeing this scene, Mu Bing's eyes flashed. Good place. Then, the two of them continued to climb. Suddenly, worries are neither born nor extinguished, neither dirty nor pure, neither increasing nor decreasing. The scriptures mixed with the sound of Buddhism flooded the entire valley like a flood. At this moment, Mu Bing stood dumbfounded on the spot. The scenery in front of her changed rapidly. A giant golden Buddha stood proudly in the sky. The dazzling golden light made people not dare to look at it directly. Lines of scriptures flew out of the golden Buddha's mouth, enveloping the entire world. This dazzling scene caused Mu Bing to be stunned for a long time. The words of the great Tao surged into her mind. At this moment, she had reached an indescribable state of being one with nature. That kind of profundity, that kind of profoundness was indescribable, inexplicable. It was a long time. Only then did Mu Bing wake up from her state. Although his strength did not increase, his state of mind was rapidly improving. His future achievements would be limitless. Could it be that the one who destroyed the Earth Fiend wasn't an expert from the Elysium? Could it be a master on the mountain? That is to say, the young master that Lu Yin mentioned. At this thought, Mu Bing's expression changed slightly, and a trace of fear flashed across her face. Just now, he was still thinking of running up the mountain to expose the expert. If he really did that, what difference was there from courting death? Thinking like this, Mu Bing put away her arrogance and followed Luo Luyan up. Sigh, there are still no blessing points. Closing the scripture, Sun Hao sighed secretly. 2 days had passed, and he did not get any blessing points. Right now, Xiuzhi did not come to his residence, and there was no place to deliver things. May I ask if the young master is at home? At this moment, a sound came from outside the courtyard. Hearing this, Sun Hao's eyes bloomed. Someone had finally arrived. Listening to her voice, it seemed to be Miss Lu Yin. Young master, I'll open the door. Huang Runming walked to the courtyard door, opened it, and couldn't help but be stunned. He saw that beside Luo Lu Yin, there was a beautiful woman who was even more beautiful than Luo Lu Yin. She was Mu Bing. Mu Bing looked at Huang Runming with a flash of surprise. Sister Runming, this is my fellow Taoist Mu Bing. This time, she came to visit the young master. Luo Lu Yin introduced. Miss Mu Bing, Sister Lu Yin, please come inside. Under Huang Runming's lead, the two walked into the courtyard. After seeing the 1,000-color god lotus in the pond, Mu Bing's pupils shrank. It was indeed a demon immortal. He was probably not an ordinary demon immortal. That terrifying aura made it difficult for Mu Bing to breathe. With just a glance, Mu Bing retracted her expression and slightly lowered her head to show respect. Although he had heard Luo Luyan talk about it many times, he was still shocked to see it at this moment. His heart, which had not stirred for a long time, was now filled with ripples. Mu Bing suppressed the fluctuations in her heart and continued to follow behind Huang Runming. Suddenly, quack, quack, there was a duck's cry. Duck! Mu Bing spoke subconsciously, looked up, and her pupils shrank. Ooh, a pressure like a tsunami pressed down. Dare to call this old man a duck. You are the first. Even the master only calls this old man a chicken. You dare to call this old man a duck? A sound rang in his mind like a clap of thunder. At this moment, Mu Bing was like sinking into hell, and her whole body trembled violently. On her forehead, beads of sweat rolled down. This was not a duck. This was clearly the 9 Heavens God Wan. She actually called her a duck. What was the difference from courting death? Luo Luyan had repeatedly warned herself that there was a 9 Heavens God Wan, but she still forgot. Senior, I didn't mean it. Mu Bing hurriedly transmitted. Umph. Then it's unintentional. Even unintentional dare to be like this. If it's intentional, isn't it? Following this sound, boundless pressure came one after another. Mu Bing's body, as if about to burst open, was extremely uncomfortable. Maybe in the next second, she would explode into meat paste. Little Ing, what are you doing? So aggressive. Be careful that I stew you into a pot of chicken soup. Seeing the hair on Ing Yu's body standing up, staring at Mu Bing, Sun Hao was angry. A chicken? Dare to stare at a cultivator like this? Be careful that a sword will cut you down. Quack! Ing Yu retracted his pressure and surrounded Sun Hao like a licking dog. Seeing this scene, in Mu Bing's heart, there was a storm again. That mortal, with a word, let the 9 Heavens God Wan retract his pressure like a licking dog? By the way, just now the 9 Heavens God Wan said master. Could it be that it was that mortal? God, what's wrong with this world? The dignified divine beast actually became a licking dog? Originally, she was stunned by his strength. But now, Mu Bing's worldview was completely subverted. The divine beast recognized a human as its master, and it was still so flattering. How is this possible? Could it be that this mortal was really a supreme existence? Mu Bing kept using all kinds of means. No matter how she looked at it, Sun Hao was just a mortal. Even my various secret skills can't be seen through. Mu Bing's face showed the most cautious look ever. Young master, this is my fellow Taoist, named Mu Bing. She has admired you for a long time, and today she came to see you. Luo Luyan said. Miss Mu Bing, hello. Sun Hao said. Seeing this handsome scholar, Mu Bing quickly bowed. Greetings, young master. You're welcome. Miss Mu Bing came from afar. sit down and rest for a while. Sun Hao said, "Thank you, young master." Several people walked into the pavilion. Chapter 59. Rumung, help me pick some fruits. Sun Hao said, "Yes, young master." Huang Rumung left quickly. A moment later, a plate of crystal-clear cherries was placed on the table. The black was red, and the fruit fragrance was overflowing. Mu Bing saw Luo Liuyan's eager look and shook her head secretly. No matter how she looked at it, it was an ordinary fruit. It couldn't be more ordinary. This kind of thing, for her, had long been eaten. Unexpectedly, Luo Liuyan would be tempted by this kind of secular food. It was a failure. "Two girls, don't be polite, eat it." Sun Hao said, "Thank you, young master." Luo Liuyan picked up the cherry and chewed it with a satisfied face. Mu Bing sighed secretly and picked up a cherry. This thing could only be used to fill her stomach, and she really didn't want to eat it. But she couldn't put down her face, so she reluctantly ate one. She put the whole fruit in her mouth and bit it gently. Puff! The juice burst everywhere, and the fragrance and sweetness filled the whole mouth cavity. It was delicious. All the taste buds opened at this moment. Every cell was active. After 2 bites, an extremely pure spiritual power, mixed with wisps of immortal power, poured into her meridians like a torrent. At this moment, Mu Bing felt that her meridians seemed to be about to burst. She hurriedly ran her cultivation method and transferred this power to her dantian. The immortal power in her meridians quickly transformed her meridians and body. In just a short moment, her body was strengthened 10 times. How is this possible? What kind of good fortune did I encounter? Mu Bing murmured. Her heart was like being hit by a mountain torrent, and she couldn't calm down for a long time. Kacha! A sound rang out. The layer of realm membrane on her body cracked in response. The originally suppressed realm collapsed in an instant. At this moment, she reached the middle stage of the crossing calamity realm. Sensing the change in her dantian, Mu Bing's face changed dramatically. She worked hard to suppress it, just to prepare for the tribulation. Although it was only a 3-color thunder tribulation, without a top-grade spirit weapon, she definitely couldn't survive it. After so many years of accumulation, 80% of the materials for the top-grade spirit weapon had been prepared. At most 2 years, all of them could be gathered. At that time, she would ask a refining master to create a top-grade spirit weapon to have a 50% chance of surviving the tribulation. Unexpectedly, coming here to eat a fruit, she actually pierced her membrane. This time, he was dead for sure. Thinking so, Mu Bing looked up, and her expression changed dramatically. Dark clouds suddenly appeared in the sky. In less than a moment, it had enveloped the entire sky. Within a radius of 100 miles, it was pitch black. Sizzle, 3-colored lightning bolts flickered incessantly in the sky, emitting sizzling sounds. Every time, there was a sound of electricity that made one's scalp go numb. Sun Hao frowned slightly and looked back at Huang Rumung. After seeing her look normal, he relaxed. It seems that Rumung is not afraid of thunder. Sun Hao secretly said. In the dark clouds, a giant made of lightning galloped about, occasionally laughing maniacally. I'm out again. Haha, this is wonderful. This time, I want to see which little fellow is undergoing the heavenly tribulation. Little guy, I'll let you know that the power of heaven is unstoppable. This time, I'll definitely destroy your soul. Otherwise, I won't have the face to go back and see the sovereign if I don't meet the performance standards this year. Speaking of this, the Thunder Tribulation giant swept his gaze and stared directly at Mu Bing. This stare was like being stared at by a beast of hell, and Mu Bing had goosebumps all over her body. Her body trembled violently, uncontrollably. Sizzle. In the sky, the 3-color lightning was brewing. The kind of momentum of destroying everything made people unable to have the slightest heart of resistance. Mu Bing closed her eyes and waited quietly for this moment to come. In the sky, the Thunder Tribulation giant's scalp suddenly exploded. God, the Supreme Being is sitting there. I'm here again. It seems that this little guy also has a relationship with the Supreme Being. In that case, I'll give you some good fortune. After speaking, the Thunder Tribulation giant showed an extremely painful expression, pulled out a ray of lightning from his body, and threw it down. Sizzle, the three-color lightning disappeared. The dark clouds around gradually dissipated. In less than a moment, it was still sunny, as if everything just now was a dream. Are you okay? Mu Bing froze in place, her face full of disbelief. Such a terrifying thunder tribulation was obviously aimed at her. And now, the thunder tribulation had not fallen. There must be a reason for this. Could it be that there was an expert helping in secret? Around here, even the Nine Heavens God Wand did not have this ability. Besides, she just called her a duck. How could she help her? In this way, there was no one else but the young master. Thinking of this, Mu Bing showed a sudden realization. Young master, thank you for saving my life. Mu Bing looked at Sun Hao, her eyes full of gratitude. Suddenly, she raised her eyebrows, looked at her Dantian, and her whole person froze in place. The light of thunder tribulation, that wisp of light blue lightning jumped in her Dantian and merged with her Dantian nascent soul. The whole nascent soul was getting stronger rapidly. Good fortune, the supreme good fortune. God, I will get this kind of good fortune. All of this seemed to be secretly done by the young master. Young master, thank you. Miss Mu Bing, don't be stunned, eat it. Sun Hao's voice awakened Mu Bing. Thank you, young master. Mu Bing nodded, picked up a cherry, and tasted it carefully. She looked at Sun Hao secretly, and the light of gratitude and worship swept away. The young master saved her and gave her supreme good fortune. This kindness was unforgettable. She must send a little gift to the young master to show her gratitude. Thinking like this, Mu Bing secretly opened the space ring and began to check. Finally, her eyes were fixed on a stone shining with black light. This thing, called Black Vein Immortal Gold, was the treasure of the Supreme Court. There were only a few hundred pieces in the entire sect. Her own piece was the reward for winning the school competition and winning the top 10. This thing was originally prepared to be used to refine the best spirit weapon to block the thunder tribulation. However, now that there was such a ray of thunder tribulation light in her body, she was no longer afraid of the thunder tribulation. If she gave this thing to the young master, he should like it, right? Thinking like this, Mu Bing took out the Black Vein Immortal Gold and respectfully handed it to Sun Hao. Young master, I came in a hurry. A little gift, no respect, please accept it. Mu Bing said. Black Vein Immortal Gold? Luo Liuyan's eyes bloomed with a strange light. Seeing Luo Liuyan's reaction, Sun Hao was taken aback. This black stone, it seemed, was not an ordinary thing. How could he not accept it when it was given to him? Just in time, he found this opportunity to give her something. If she dare not accept it, then pretend to be angry and pull down her face. Presumably, she would accept it honestly like the others. This was simply wonderful. Miss Mu Bing, it's too polite to send something when you come. Sun Hao smiled, took the Black Vein Immortal Gold in his hand, and began to look at it. A good piece of iron, but it's a little small, not enough to make a dagger. Chapter 60. A little small? That's not enough, the young master was saying. This little Black Vein Immortal Gold is not enough to save my life. What should I do? Mu Bing's mind turned sharply, thinking about countermeasures. Black Vein Immortal Gold, that was an immortal-grade material. Forging a high-grade spirit weapon was easy. This thing, in the hands of an immortal weapon master, could be used to forge an immortal weapon. This kind of treasure was hard to come by. Where can I find it? What should I do? If I don't take it, the young master will be angry. In the future, this path of creation will definitely be broken. At that time, I will find a place to cry to death. By the way, the dean seems to have a few pieces of Black Vein Immortal Gold. I can only ask the dean to give me one. Thinking like this, Mu Bing secretly kept this matter in mind. Miss Mu Bing, Miss Liuyan, don't be stunned, eat. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. The two women started again. Sun Hao looked at the two women, showing a thoughtful look. His place was too remote, and no cultivator was willing to come. If this continued, the speed of collecting blessing points would be too slow. I must think of a way. After some thought, Sun Hao nodded secretly. In his eyes, a flash of light flashed. "Two girls, please help me with something," Sun Hao said. As soon as these words came out, the two women's bodies trembled. The test is coming. The young master is going to give pointers. Every word and every expression must be kept in mind. "Young master, please say," Luo Luyan said. "I'm going to accept 3 apprentices, but this matter—" Sun Hao wanted to say something, but stopped. When Luo Luyan heard this, their eyes flashed. "What? Accept apprentices? Such a good thing? Young master, I am willing to worship you as a teacher and stay with you for a long time. At your disposal. Please accept me as your disciple." No, the young master didn't directly propose to accept them, which means he didn't like them at all. In other words, the young master still needs a test. Thinking of this, the two suppressed their inner excitement and calmed down. "Young master, do you want us to help you find apprentices?" Luo Luyan asked. "Yes and no," Sun Hao said ambiguously. Of course, he couldn't really accept apprentices. Otherwise, what should he teach him? Planting trees? Playing the piano? Breeding? Forging? Carving? It seemed that immortal cultivators were not interested in these things, right? Therefore, as long as the two of them called those people over, they would give something to those people. Wouldn't the blessing points be endless? "Young master, we understand," Luo Luyan said. Remember, the stronger the better." Sun Hao said. "The stronger the strength, the higher the blessing value. Do not bring mortals here." "Young master, rest assured." Luo Luyan nodded. "Miss Mu Bing, it's your first time here and you're giving me something. You're really polite. I have something for you. Please come with me," Sun Hao said. Hearing this, Mu Bing's body trembled. What does the young master want to do? She obviously felt that she had given too little, but she still wanted to give her a present. What was the meaning of this? Thinking so, Mu Bing looked at Luo Luyan, showing a look of help. "Mu Bing, this is the young master's test for you. Be careful and don't be greedy," Luo Luyan said. Mu Bing nodded and followed Sun Hao nervously. Soon, the two of them arrived at the carving room. "Open the gate." Phew, a terrifying coercion like Mount Tai pressed down. Mu Bing's face was pale, and fine beads of sweat overflowed on her forehead. It was the statues in the room that released this terrifying coercion. Every statue made Mu Bing unable to give birth to the slightest resistance. This so many terrifying artifact spirits. Mu Bing stared blankly at the statues in the room, her face full of shock. Those that could give birth to artifact spirits were all high-grade spiritual weapons. The entire house was probably filled with supreme-grade spiritual weapons or even supreme spiritual weapons. So many supreme spiritual weapons? This was much richer than the Supreme Court. What kind of existence was the young master? Thinking of this, Mu Bing took a cold breath and couldn't calm down for a long time. With Sun Hao in front of her, she could still bear the coercion. "Miss Mu Bing, you can choose one of the gadgets here at will," Sun Hao said. After saying this, the coercion around her suddenly disappeared. Immediately afterward, "Little girl, this old man is an ancient powerhouse. With me, I will guarantee you to the peak of your life, fight everywhere, and no one will be your opponent. Girl, I am willing to be a sword in your hand, and I will kill wherever you point. Come on, you are obviously a snake. If you want to choose, you should choose this seat. It is not a problem to suppress everything." A voice, like thunder, blasted in Mu Bing's mind. At this moment, she was completely dumbfounded. Compared with the previous aloofness, it was like a changed person. "Young master, how can this be?" Mu Bing said. "What? You don't like my statues?" Sun Hao's face sank, and his anger appeared. This expression appeared. Mu Bing's face changed drastically, and she waved her hand repeatedly. Young master, I didn't mean that." "Then what are you waiting for? Choose one," Sun Hao said. "Yes, young master." Mu Bing looked nervous, picked up one casually, and held in her hand. "Young master, can I choose this?" "Of course you can." Sun Hao looked at the dragon statue in Mu Bing's hand and couldn't help but be taken aback. It seemed that not everyone liked the broken arm statue. He deliberately broke a few statues, hid them among these statues, and let them find them. "Thank you, young master." Mu Bing sent the dragon statue into the space ring, and her face was full of gratitude. The two walked out of the carving room and came to the pavilion. Two girls, it's still early. How about staying for dinner? Sun Hao said, Young master, I've troubled you for a long time today, so I will leave first. After saying goodbye to Sun Hao, Luo Luyin and Mu Bing ran straight down the mountain. A moment later, Mu Bing, have you realized it? Luo Luyin asked. Mu Bing's expression stagnated, and her face showed a look of fear. Today's trip was simply terrifying. First, the peerless demon immortal, then the supreme divine beast, then a warehouse of supreme spiritual weapons. Even the thunder tribulation had disappeared. Every time, he almost scared his soul out of his body. It was terrifying. And Mu Bing nodded. Young master is hinting that I took 2 little black vein immortal gold. And let me bring more. After Luo Luyin heard it, she shook her head for a while. How was this a hint? This is an explicit statement. Okay. Then what did you realize? Mu Bing asked. Young master's acceptance of an apprentice is both an opportunity and a test. Recently, the evil race has been on the rise. The first apprentice accepted by the young master must be the one who annihilates the evil race. Luo Luyin said. Hearing this, Mu Bing nodded secretly. Then young master said that the stronger the better. What does this mean? You still don't understand? This is the young master's warning. Don't slack off. You must work hard to cultivate. Also, the young master has woken up to let you join us and annihilate the evil race together. Are you willing? Luo Luyin said. I'm willing. Mu Bing nodded heavily. Chapter 61. Not good, not good. A cry of surprise came from outside the door. Su Yiling opened her eyes, and there was a trace of doubt on her face. What happened? The invasion of the evil races? Thinking of this, Su Yiling's scalp exploded, and she quickly stood up. Young master's instructions came true so quickly. Su Yiling opened the door, looked at the person, and asked, What's wrong? Saintess, things are not good. The heavenly underworld sect has surrounded us, saying that they want to avenge their dead master and wash the Jade Lake Palace with blood. Hearing the voice of the female disciple, Su Yiling snorted coldly. Rebel? Are they scared because they haven't been beaten yet? Where are they now? Su Yiling asked. Holy maiden, they're outside the great formation and are shouting non-stop, said the female disciple. Did they attack? No, they didn't attack. They just kept shouting. It was obvious that he was purposely provoking the people inside to leave. Given the personality of the heavenly underworld sect's sect master, he would definitely not come to provoke the sect master's death. There must be a conspiracy behind this. He had to be careful. Su Yiling muttered and made a decision. Pass my order. No one is allowed to walk out of the array. Everything will wait for Master to come back and decide. Saintess, but a few of our disciples have fallen into their hands. Now, they're going to rape them in front of all the disciples. The female disciple couldn't continue. Damn it. Su Yiling clenched her fists. If that's the case, then go to hell. After speaking, Su Yiling quickly ran out. After a while, she came to the square and stood at the edge of the array. Seeing the scene in front of her, 2 streams of anger shot up from the soles of her feet and circled around her chest. A few female disciples were tied to the pillars and surrounded by a few male cultivators. Wah! The sound of tearing silk passed through the sound amplification array and resounded throughout the entire square. Seeing this scene, the female disciples' faces were filled with shame and anger. Saintess, let me destroy them. Saintess, let me save my sisters. One by one, the disciples stood up and knelt in front of Su Yiling, asking to fight. Su Yiling waved her right hand, and all the disciples quieted down. She calmly looked forward and stepped out of the formation. Buzz, a sound rang out. A trapping array enveloped Su Yiling in an instant. The sect master of the heavenly underworld sect threw his head back and laughed. I didn't expect that the saintess of Jade Lake Palace was so retarded. She couldn't stand a little stimulation. Now, with you in my hands, wouldn't Luo Luyin be captured without a fight? The heavenly underworld sect master looked at Su Yiling and was extremely proud. Di Ming, with your personality, you don't have the guts to do that. Tell me, what's your purpose? Su Yiling looked at Heavenly Underworld sect master and said, Don't talk nonsense. Luo Luyan killed our sect master. How can we not avenge her? Looking at Su Yiling being so calm, Heavenly Underworld sect master's face showed a trace of worry. You? Do you dare? Su Yiling smiled slightly and said faintly, Since you don't want to say it, I have a way to make you speak. What? You want me to speak? The sect master of the Heavenly Underworld sect was stunned for a moment before bursting into laughter. A turtle in a jar is still boasting shamelessly. It's too funny, huh? The elders and disciples of the Heavenly Nether sect also burst into laughter. Becoming a spear in the hands of others. You are still so foolish. After speaking, Su Yiling raised her finger and tapped lightly. Kacha! The array that enveloped her body cracked. Heavenly Underworld sect master's pupils shrank, and his face changed drastically. He was about to retreat, but he saw that Su Yiling had already stood in front of him, and her jade finger tapped lightly. Boom! There was a loud noise. Heavenly Underworld sect master flew out like a broken kite, sprinkling a rain of blood in the sky. Boom! He fell to the ground and exploded into a cloud of dust. One blow, serious injury. When the disciples of the Heavenly Underworld sect saw this scene, they were all scared silly. How is this possible? In front of this girl, the sect master can't even stop a finger? What should I do? They looked at Su Yiling, and their faces were full of fear. Su Yiling ignored these, but looked at Heavenly Underworld sect master. Puff! Heavenly Underworld sect master spat out a mouthful of blood. He struggled a few times and couldn't stand up. He pointed at Su Yiling. Su Yiling smiled slightly, and with a finger of her right hand, all the tied female disciples regained their freedom. You wait, go back to the array first. Yes, Saintess. These female disciples quickly flew back to the array. Who? Su Yiling turned around. Before waiting for Heavenly Underworld sect master to react, she had already stood in front of Heavenly Underworld sect master and stepped on his chest with one foot. Kacha! His chest seemed to be pressed by a mountain, and several bones broke. Heavenly Underworld sect master let out a shrill scream. You only have one chance, say. Who is the mastermind behind the scenes? Su Yiling said. I say, Heavenly Underworld sect master repeatedly begged for mercy. A touch of smugness flashed across the corner of his mouth. Suddenly, say your big hammer. Heavenly Underworld sect master's body burst open, turned into light and shadow, and disappeared without a trace. Su Yiling's face changed drastically, and she was about to move. At this time, there was a shock. A crimson cage enveloped Su Yiling in an instant. She touched it lightly, and her hand was burned black. Fierce prison cage? Su Yiling's face changed drastically, and she let out an exclamation. You have some knowledge. At this time, a middle-aged man with a fiery red body appeared not far away. Next to him, Heavenly Underworld sect master followed him like a licking dog. You're the Raging Fire sect master. Lie you? As soon as these words came out, within the Jade Lake Palace array, there was an instant wave. What? Raging Fire sect? The 7th class sect Raging Fire sect? Is this the end of our Jade Lake Palace? Besieged by 2 7th class sects. What should we do? Let's hurry to save the Holy Maiden and fight with them. Shut up. The Holy Maiden said that no one is allowed to attack without her order. All the disciples of Jade Lake Palace stared at Su Yiling, full of worry. Little doll, you have some knowledge. Say, where is Luo Luyan? Liu said, my master is here. You will definitely die. If you know what's good for you, let me go quickly. Su Yiling said, Little doll, at this moment, you still dare to threaten me? After speaking, Liu waved his right hand. Who? A ball of flame hit the fierce prison cage. Wisps of red flames, like silk threads, drilled into Su Yiling's eyebrows. Su Yiling clasped her fists and screamed up to the sky. The voice was faint and extremely mournful. Holy Maiden, a group of female disciples stood in the array and shouted loudly. Everyone clenched their fists and their chests heaved violently. I will fight with you. Dare to attack the holy maiden. Charge. A group of female disciples completely lost their minds, seeing that they were about to rush out of the array. At this time, stand up. The Grand Elder let out a loud shout, waking up all the disciples. Chapter 62. Little girl, I don't want to torture you either. If you know what's good for you, say it quickly. Also, where is the godly cunning immortal behind her? Liu said, Oh, it turns out that you actually have an idea about the godly cunning immortal. It's simply courting death. Su Yiling said, I don't know if we will die or not, but if you don't say it, your soul may be destroyed. Liu said, These words just finished. Really? A sound rang out. A silver-haired man carried a big knife and walked out of the Jade Lake Palace step by step. What? There are men in the Jade Lake Palace? What the F***CK? Didn't we agree to cut off all ties with each other? Are you kidding me? My pure love has vanished into thin air. The disciples of the heavenly underworld sect, with a bitter face, stared at Chun Daoming. That kind of envy and jealousy could kill him. Chun Daoming raised the corner of his mouth, stroked his silver hair, and looked arrogant. Bullying a girl, what kind of skill is that? Let her go. Come at me if you dare. That red hair, what are you looking at? I'm talking about you. You look like a flamingo, and you still have the nerve to talk? Chun Daoming pointed to Liu and said, You, courting death. Liu gritted his teeth and rushed towards Chun Daoming. For a while, the two men wrestled together. Ding, the sound of metal colliding sounded constantly. The sound of the terrifying explosion was endless. The cultivators who were close were seriously injured by the aftermath. The more they went, the more intense the fighting became. Liu was suppressed by Chun Daoming and had no power to fight back. How is this possible? What is his body made of? Harder than a middle-grade spirit weapon. It hurts. How could I encounter this kind of monster? I can't burn it to death. This is troublesome. Liu murmured, his face bitter. Boom! There was a loud noise. The two men separated. Liu's body stepped straight back, and it took a lot of strength to stabilize his figure. Puff! A mouthful of blood was spat out toward the sky. He looked at Chun Daoming, his face full of fear. Hey, suppressing his strength like this. He can't beat me. What a waste. Chun Daoming sighed secretly, then stared at Liu, full of sneers. Boom! He kicked with his right leg, causing the air to explode. With just one step, he stood in front of Liu. Since you are willing to be my fighter, then go to hell. After that, Chun Daoming raised his foot and stomped down toward Liu. Sir, save me. Seeing this scene, Liu was scared out of his wits and shouted loudly. Stop! There was a loud shout. Following that, a figure rapidly arrived. In an instant, he stood in front of Chun Daoming. He was 2 meters tall, and his muscles seemed to be bursting out of his armor. His entire body emitted an aura that could destroy everything. His face was covered, so it was impossible to see his face clearly. He glanced at Liu and said coldly, what a waste. Subsequently, the masked man stared at Chun Daoming and looked carefully. The early stage of the insightful Void Realm was a realm lower than him. Compared to Luo Luyan, that waste, he was indeed better. Luo Luyan, it turns out that you are just a green tea bitch, looking for a lover. You are not even as good as me, pretending to be noble. The masked man muttered to himself and shook his head for a while. Today, see how I kill your lover. Thinking of this, the masked man raised the corner of his mouth and said, Kid, let him go. Hee, what if I don't let him go? Chun Daoming said, Then you will be better off dead. The masked man said, Is that so? After that, Chun Daoming raised his foot and stomped down fiercely. No, you dare. 2 sounds rang out at the same time. Kacha! Liu's head cracked, red and white things splashed everywhere, and he died on the spot. Silence. It was very quiet. Everyone stared at this scene blankly, full of disbelief. A 7th-class sex grandmaster was actually stomped to death. He couldn't even resist. The disciples of the Heavenly Nether sect were all frightened, and their faces changed drastically. When there was the old monster Tian Ming, The Heavenly Nether sect was a 6th-class sect. Now that the old monster Tianming was dead, the sect naturally fell to a 7th-class sect. Who in the entire sect was this kid's opponent? What to do? Many people's legs trembled, and their faces changed again and again. Escape? What was the difference from courting death? The masked man looked at Chun Daoming, and his anger was overflowing. He pointed at Chun Daoming. Good, very good. Since you want to die so much, this seat will fulfill your wish. After that, the masked man rushed towards Chun Daoming. The two fought together. Ding! The sound of metal colliding sounded constantly. Neither of them used weapons, relying entirely on their flesh. The flesh was like a divine weapon, indestructible. The onlookers looked at this scene, stunned. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the two separated. The two of them looked at each other with fear in their eyes. Damn, his physical body. How can it be stronger than mine? The masked man's right hand trembled slightly, and his face was full of disbelief. What he practiced was the strongest physical body cultivation method of the Supreme Court. Coupled with the bloodline, he could break the middle-grade spiritual weapon with his bare hands. Although his realm was only at the early Deshang stage, even if he encountered a cultivator at the peak Deshang stage, he could kill him with his bare hands. Now, facing a kid at the early void transformation stage, he didn't even have the power to fight back. How is this possible? Does it hurt? That's right. It proves that you are still alive. If you only have this skill, then you can die. Chun Daoming held the long knife in his hand and began to pull it out. Pretending to be a ghost, die. The masked man rushed towards Chun Daoming. At this time, the long knife was slowly pulled out. Buzz. The long knife, like the scabbard, sounded, shaking people's ears. The terrifying knife intent, centered on Chun Daoming, shook in all directions. It was like a giant mountain. Boom! A group of cultivators who were close, all of them like cannonballs, blasted in all directions. Those with low strength were directly shaken into flying ash and disappeared on the spot. Boom! The masked man was no exception. He was hit hard, fell to the ground, and vomited blood. Before the knife was pulled out, he was seriously injured. He looked at Chun Daoming and shook his head again and again, with a look of disbelief. How can he comprehend such a powerful knife intent? Fake, it must be fake. Chun Daoming took back the long knife and stood in front of the masked man. Do you know the biggest difference between you and a pig? You. The masked man's chest was stagnant, and he had nothing to say. The biggest difference is that a pig has always been a pig, and you can't even compare to a pig. After saying that, Chun Daoming raised his foot and kicked over fiercely. Puff! Blood spilled, and the masked man flew across the ground. He bowed like a shrimp, looking painful. At the corner of his mouth, black and red blood kept flowing. His vitality was rapidly lost. One kick, and he was seriously injured. He was still hiding his strength when he fought against me. His strength is so terrifying, it's troublesome. Thinking of this, the masked man's scalp was numb. He took a deep breath and shouted with all his might. Chai Yuanshu, what are you looking at? Hurry up and save me. This sound like thunder rolled out. Chapter 63. A burst of hearty laughter came from the void. There was a burst of transparent ripples in the sky. A figure penetrated the ripples and stood in the sky. He was dressed in white and had a handsome appearance. He looked elegant and stylish. He was a student of the Supreme Court, Chai Yuanshu. Chai Yuanshu looked at Ho Xing and shook his head for a while. Ho Xing, you are so useless that you can't even beat a kid in the early stage of void transformation. You are powerful, then you come. Ho Xing pressed the wound and roared loudly. Come on. After speaking, Chai Yuanshu's figure flashed. He appeared behind Chun Daoming in an instant. Without waiting for Chun Daoming to react, he gently raised his hand and pressed it with a palm. It seemed to have no power. However, boom, Chun Daoming flew out like a broken kite. Puff! He fell to the ground, spat out a mouthful of blood, and fainted. What? Knock him out with one blow? How is this possible? Ho Xing didn't believe it. Chai Yuanshu smiled slightly and didn't take it to heart at all. Hurry up and break the array and catch them. At that time, are you afraid that Luo Luyin won't be captured obediently? Chai Yuanshu said. Okay. Ho Xing took out a medicinal pill and swallowed 2 in a row with a painful face. His physical injuries were recovering rapidly. Despite this, his arm could not grow out. He struggled to stand up, gritting his teeth in pain. Chai Yuanshu looked into the distance and shouted, "You two, what are you looking at? Hurry up and lead the sect disciples to attack the array." Yes. The Heavenly Underworld Sect Master and the Raging Fire Sect Master waved their right hands, and tens of thousands of long rainbows flew quickly and fell in front of the Jade Lake Palace array. Attack! Chai Yuanshu waved his right hand, and tens of thousands of cultivators moved together. Tens of thousands of rays of light flew toward the Jade Lake Palace array like meteors. It was overwhelming, making people scalp numb. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the array trembled violently. Gotcha! Above the array, a crack spread downward. Not good. The array is going to be broken? What should we do? Master has not returned yet. Sisters, swear to live and die with Jade Lake Palace, and prepare to fight to the death. Yes, great elder. The neat voice resounded throughout the Jade Lake Palace. Each of the female disciples had a determined look on their faces. They gripped their swords tightly and circulated the power in their bodies. Boom! Another tens of thousands of light beams struck the formation. Gotcha! The patterns were like a spider web, spreading out in all directions. One more strike, and the formation would definitely shatter. Strike with all your strength and break the formation. Yes. Every immortal cultivator exerted their full strength, mobilizing the power within their bodies, and began to attack. Phew! Tens of thousands of rays of light lit up the entire sky as they descended rapidly. Boom! There was a loud noise. The entire formation instantly shattered. Kill! Thousands of disciples of Jade Lake Palace raised their long swords and rushed out. However, just as they took a step forward, they stopped. He saw that in the sky, the great array condensed and once again enveloped the entire Jade Lake Palace. The sect-protecting formation was restored to its original state. It was not only the Jade Lake Palace disciples who were stunned, but also many cultivators outside the array. What? Recovered? How is this possible? Is this a dream? How can a 7th grade sect's grand array be so strong? Chai Yuanshu's face changed slightly when he saw this scene. Attack! Continue to attack! Chai Yuanshu shouted. Phew! The group of cultivators began to move again. Everyone used all their strength and attacked frantically. After the formation was broken, phew, another array barrier once again enveloped Jade Lake Palace. The speed was so fast that people couldn't react at all. The grand array was restored to its original state. Chai Yuanshu looked at this scene, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Chai Yuanshu, it has recovered again. What should we do now? Ho Xing said. Continue to attack. I don't believe that this method can keep growing. In this way, under the command of Chai Yuanshu, a group of cultivators attacked frantically. After breaking through the formation 5 times, Chun Xiaobei was stunned. Many cultivators fell to the ground, gasping for breath. No, my spiritual power has been exhausted. This damn array, how can it keep growing, damn it? I can't do it. I've used up all the medicinal pills. Such a voice kept ringing. Chai Yuanshu clenched his fists, and his joints exploded. His face was distorted and deformed. In his eyes, black gas surged up. A roar shook the world. Chai Yuanshu's body changed rapidly. In the blink of an eye, he changed into a 2-meter-tall monster with a sharp horn on his head and a mouth full of fangs. The black gas on his body spread rapidly around. Chai, Lord Chai, it turned out to be an evil race. My God, too terrifying. My heart seems to be jumping out. The surrounding cultivators couldn't help but retreat. This Ho Xing directly paralyzed to the ground, and his face was extremely ugly. In this way, isn't he colluding with the evil race? This crime was enough for him to die 10,000 times. It's over. Ho Xing closed his eyes, his face desperate. Haha. Chai Yuanshu looked up to the sky and roared like crazy. He stepped forward and walked towards a grand array step by step. Luo Luyin, even if you have this kind of array, so what? This old man will still break you. After speaking, Chai Yuanshu stretched out his right claw and slapped it towards the grand array. The claws were extremely sharp, exuding a chilling light. Puff! With a light pat, the claw instantly pierced into the array. The claw clenched lightly. Kacha! There was a sound like glass cracking. The grand array burst. This time, the grand array didn't recover. Ha! Luo Luyin, let me help you kill these disciples. After speaking, Chai Yuanshu stepped forward and rushed towards a group of disciples. Looking at Chai Yuanshu, the disciples of Jade Lake Palace trembled with fright, and their faces changed drastically. However, they did not retreat. Fight! The great elder roared and rushed over with his people. At this time, stop! A soft shout shook into the ears of every disciple. They all stopped, looked at the sky, and couldn't help but look sluggish. In their eyes, there was endless surprise. The palace master is back. Great! The palace master is back. Exclamations kept ringing. Chai Yuanshu seemed to find something wrong and looked up at the sky. He saw, in the sky, Luo Luyin stepped on the air and quickly fell. In the blink of an eye, she fell in front of Chai Yuanshu. A smile appeared on Luo Luyin's face. The young master is really clever. This evil race really appeared. Chai Yuanshu, it turns out that you're really a running dog of the evil race. This time, I will destroy you with peace of mind, Luo Luyin said with a smile. Destroy me? Chai Yuanshu was slightly startled, thinking that he had heard it wrong. Then, ha! Chai Yuanshu looked up to the sky and laughed. Luo Luyin, you are finally here. Let me wait for a long time. Say, where is the godly cunning immortal? Otherwise, today will be a bloodbath in Jade Lake Palace. After today, Jade Lake Palace will be wiped out. Chai Yuanshu said, Hee, the godly cunning immortal has long calculated that you will come. Today, you will never leave. Luo Luyin said, At this moment, you still want to talk fast. In that case, wait for me to kill you, and then torture and interrogate. After speaking, Chai Yuanshu rushed over. Chapter 64. Luo Luyin watched Chai Yuanshu rush over, and there was no change in her expression. She stood there calmly without any intention of moving. Buzz! Chai Yuanshu's claws pierced through the air. With a harsh whistling sound, she directly grabbed Luo Luyin's shoulder. He exploded. Chai Yuanshu revealed a touch of pride as his right hand squeezed. As a member of the evil race, the strength of his physical body had already reached an unimaginable level. Even if the Ascendant Realm powerhouse had the protection of a shield, his shoulder would still be crushed by this blow. Thinking of this, the smile on Chai Yuanshu's face became extremely cruel. Bang! An explosive sound rang out. Chai Yuanshu looked at Luo Luyin's shoulder, and his face was full of disbelief. He saw that Luo Luyin's shoulder was intact, and his whole palm exploded. How is this possible? Dumbfounded, he retracted his palm and looked at his right hand that had no palm. He stood rooted to the ground in shock. The next second, he let out a blood-curdling scream. Bitch, you dare to plot against me. Chai Yuanshu roared again and again. He stretched out his left hand and tried to gouge her eyeballs. Luo Luyin arrived first and grabbed Chai Yuanshu's left hand. This is impossible. Chai Yuanshu's complexion changed dramatically as he sensed the tremendous force on his claws. He struggled frantically. Let go. However, it was useless. Your claw doesn't need it at all. After saying that, he clenched his fist lightly. Bang! There was a loud explosion. Chai Yuanshu's left hand directly burst into blood foam. That's impossible. How can your physical body be so strong? After he said that, a mournful scream shook the sky. Chai Yuanshu fell to the ground and kept rolling. Black chi gushed out of his wounds and quickly shrouded his surroundings. Since that's the case, all of you shall die. Chai Yuanshu looked up to the sky and howled. The black aura on his body gushed out like a fountain. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the surrounding cultivators. Ho Xing bore the brunt of the attack. Hiss! The black aura quickly drilled into Ho Xing's body. Chai Yuanshu, you will die a horrible death. Ho Xing pointed at Chai Yuanshu, his face full of unwillingness. Finally, he fell to the ground, twitched a few times, and then stopped moving. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of cultivators around Chai Yuanshu died, tragically on the spot. For this scene, Luo Luoyan's expression did not change. What do the enemies killing each other have to do with him? Phew! The black gas was still surging, quickly drilling into the cultivator's body. Kacha! The sound of bones rubbing against each other could be heard. The cultivator who had just fallen, after inhaling the black gas, stood up again. They looked sluggish like zombies. Corpse puppet! The disciples of Jade Lake Palace looked at this scene and couldn't help but exclaim. The corpse puppet race usually refined corpses. Just like what he did, he directly killed the living and then refined the corpse. It was completely against the harmony of the world and deviated from the path of corpse puppets. It seemed like the corpse puppet race had completely changed. Luo Luoyan looked at the hundreds of cultivators, and her killing intent surged. He did not expect that this Chai Yuanshu was actually from the corpse puppet race. Even the dean could not tell. How well hidden. If you dare to come here today, then don't even think about leaving. Children, turn this place into Shura hell and kill everyone. Chai Yuanshu opened his mouth, and all the corpse puppets moved together. How? Whenever they saw a living creature, these corpse puppets would rush over. Before a heavenly underworld sect cultivator could react, he was pounced on by a corpse puppet. The claws were like Vajra claws, and they grabbed the cultivator's heart at once. From life to death, it was just an instant. After this cultivator died, the surrounding black gas quickly poured into his body. In less than a moment, this cultivator stood up straight again and joined the army of corpse puppets. Such a scene was staged quickly. It was a completely one-sided situation. There were more and more corpse puppets, and the cultivators of the two sects were getting fewer and fewer. Humph! Luo Luoyan snorted coldly and waved her right hand lightly. The hand of great love was directly used. Phew! In the sky, the spiritual energy was whistling and rushing over. A big hand covering the sky condensed rapidly. The terrifying coercion pressed down from the big hand. The corpse puppets in all directions, under this coercion, seemed to be stuck in a quagmire, and it was difficult to move. How? The corpse puppets kept struggling and making strange cries. Then, boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing. The corpse puppets were as fragile as thin pieces of ice and were quickly crumbling. After a few breaths, nearly 10,000 corpse puppets, not a single one was left. The surrounding black gas dissipated cleanly. Around, there was dead silence. The surviving cultivators showed the joy of surviving a disaster. They looked at Luo Luoyan, and their faces were full of worship. Thump! No one knew who took the lead, but the cultivators of the two sects, facing Luo Luoyan, knelt down one by one. Thank you, Palace Master Luo, for saving my life. Palace Master Luo's skill is unparalleled and unparalleled. Palace Master Luo's bodhisattva heart. Looking at the whole world, who can compare? For these, Luo Luoyan completely ignored. Her eyes were fixed on Chai Yuanshu, and her cold killing intent was not concealed. Do you have any last words? Luo Luoyan stepped out and instantly stood in front of Chai Yuanshu, looking down at him. Oh, you're so sure of me? You and I have been in the same sect for so long. Don't you even understand my character? Chai Yuanshu's face was full of sneers. An evil race dog like you is also worthy of being in my sect. Die! After speaking, Luo Luoyan held a long sword and plunged it into Chai Yuanshu's heart. Stab! A sound rang out. The long sword was pulled out. Infinite black gas rushed out of Chai Yuanshu's chest. Chai Yuanshu let out a shrill scream. The sound was like a ghost howling from hell, and it was creepy to hear. Help! Chai Yuanshu let out a shrill scream. The voice was faint and spread throughout the void. Soon after, Buzz, the sky trembled. Layers of air waves vibrating out. The big hand that covered the sky directly burst open, turned into a ray of light, and dissipated. The terrifying pressure came one after another. Like a tsunami, it pressed on Luo Luyan. At this moment, Luo Luyan was out of breath and thought it was not good. She just looked up, but she saw. For sounds rang out. For shadows as thick as ink appeared behind Chai Yuanshu. The shadow was so dark that even the sun couldn't penetrate it. In other words, their bodies were like black holes, absorbing any light. Not good. It's the 4 corpse puppet generals, Luo Luyan exclaimed. As soon as these words came out. What? The 4 great generals of the corpse puppet clan? My God, this is the same level as the Earth Fiend, and it's just to deal with our Jade Lake Palace. I don't know what conspiracy they have. Let's fight them. Inside Jade Lake Palace, a group of disciples clenched their swords, showing a determined look. Luo Luyan, you didn't expect it, did you? Seeing Luo Luyan's surprised look, Chai Yuanshu struggled to stand up, showing a proud face. Luo Luyan, now kneel down and beg for mercy. I can give you a quick death. Otherwise, you will regret coming to this world. Chapter 65. Chai Yuanshu looked at Luo Luyan, forgot the pain, and laughed. That smug look on his face would make anyone want to go up and slap him. True enough. A crisp sound rang out. A black shadow flashed and hit him heavily in the face. Chai Yuanshu's body flew out and hit the ground. The last bit of black gas in his body was also drawn out. His heart was pierced and his hands were shattered. Even so, he could still survive with the help of the black gas. Now that he was whipped by his own people, he was on the verge of death. In his confusion, he revealed a wronged expression. My lord, why did you hit me? The voice of the black shadow that attacked was cold. You're just a piece of trash. It's fine if you're not strong enough, but your brain is also not good enough. Trash, you screwed us over. Another black shadow stood up. What? Chai Yuanshu's face was filled with disbelief. How is this possible? With the strength of the 4 lords, not to mention them. Even if it's that godly cunning immortal, isn't he still beheaded? Chai Yuanshu said. What do you know? Speaking of this, a black shadow stared at Chun Dao Ming and said, Boy, get up, don't pretend to be dead. Just as he finished speaking. Chun Dao Ming jumped, stood up, and let out a hearty laugh. Worthy of being the 4 generals, you have some knowledge. He stroked his silver hair, took out a hatchet, and placed it on his shoulder, full of confidence. The shadow did not answer, and then looked at Su Yiling and said, Little girl, don't pretend. That blazing prison cage can't trap you. Hearing this, the corner of Su Yiling's mouth raised, showing a look of embarrassment. She stretched out her finger unhurriedly and pressed it forward. Kacha! A sound rang out. The infernal prison cage crumbled into dust. Acting in order to lure you guys out is really tiring. It's better to just fight. Su Yiling twisted her neck, clenched her joints, and walked forward unhurriedly, staring calmly at the 4 shadows. Together with Luo Luyan, the 3 of them have completely locked them. As long as there is any movement, they will definitely attack. Chai Yuanshu stared blankly at this scene with a dumbfounded look. Everything that happened today was unimaginable and completely beyond imagination. The surrounding cultivators all stood dumbfounded on the spot, their faces filled with disbelief. So everything before was just to bait out the corpse puppet race? How did they know that the evil race was coming? How could they be so powerful? Chai Yuanshu let out a long breath and spat out all the black gas. He fell to the ground and stared at the sky with his eyes wide open. The other side? I can't figure it out. How did you calculate that we were going to attack the Jade Lake Palace? A black shadow said. Luo Luyan smiled slightly, revealing an inscrutable smile. It is naturally not us who can calculate all this. Luo Luyan said. Could it be the godly, cunning, immortal behind you? The shadow said. Not bad. Luo Luyan nodded. As soon as these words came out, the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air rose and fell. Was there really the godly, cunning immortal? That was too terrifying. to know the other party's movements in advance. Such an ability was truly terrifying. With such a powerful expert in the human clan, no matter how strong the evil race was, they would not be able to cause any trouble. Thank you for informing us. We understand. However, thank you for giving us time to escape. Next time we meet, we will never be merciful. A black shadow had just finished speaking. Phew! A huge teleportation vortex appeared in front of the four of them. Seeing this scene, the faces of the cultivators changed drastically. Quick, kill them. Don't let them escape. However, it was all too late. The four black shadows instantly drilled into the teleportation vortex and disappeared. Luo, Luyin, and the others looked at this scene and did not intend to move at all. Just when everyone was sighing. Phew, a teleportation vortex appeared again, and the four black shadows that had just disappeared appeared again in their original position. They came back again. This what's going on? A black shadow's voice trembled. The four of them were back to back, looking around vigilantly. Look! At this time, an exclamation sounded. Everyone looked up, and their pupils shrank, and their faces were full of shock. They saw that in the sky, a huge divine dragon phantom appeared. The golden light was extremely dazzling. The whole thing looked incomparably sacred, making people unable to have the slightest heart to resist. The four black shadows looked at the sky, and their hearts sank to hell. Oh my God, that's the space dragon ancestor. What? The space great Tao ancestor dragon? Isn't it already dead? How is this possible? It's over, we're finished. The four black shadows muttered to themselves, despair written all over their faces. Phew! A long rainbow slowly descended from the sky. After landing, it turned into a blue-robed woman. It was Mu Bing. Luo Luyin and Mu Bing looked at each other and nodded slightly. In the sky, little doll, you actually know this old man. You have some knowledge. However, this old man doesn't like guys who hide their heads and show their tails the most. After saying that, the golden light all over the sky, like the Milky Way of the ninth heaven, poured straight down. In an instant, the four black shadows were shrouded. Phew! The black gas on their bodies instantly dissipated, leaving no trace. They were four men with sharp mouths and monkey cheeks. Their faces were pale, and they looked like hell's soul reapers. It was very terrifying. They are not worthy of this old man's hand. I'll leave them to you. The divine dragon spoke in human language, and his eyes stared directly at the four corpse puppets, as if looking down on ants. Good. After Luo Luyin finished speaking, she waved her right hand, and the four moved at the same time. Each person locked on a corpse puppet general and ran quickly. Big brother, what should we do? There is no way. We will definitely die. Big brother, let's attack that girl together. She is the weakest. Pull her back just right. This idea is good. After some discussion, the four corpse puppets rushed towards Su Yiling. Seeing this scene, Luo Luyin and the others' faces changed greatly. Not good. Disciple, be careful. Luo Luyin used all her means and rushed forward frantically. It's just, was it too late? The four corpse puppets had already arrived in front of Su Yiling. Although Su Yiling reached the late void transformation, the four corpse puppets were all Ascendant Realm old monsters. Between them, there were two realms of Mahayana and Crossing Calamity. One realm was 108,000 miles. What's more, there was now a difference of 3 realms. Moreover, the four corpse puppets had been famous for a long time. The deliberate sneak attack at this moment, for Su Yiling, was simply a dead end. But she saw. Su Yiling smiled slightly, and her shallow dimple showed on both sides of her mouth, very sweet. When the four corpse puppets saw this scene, they couldn't help but look stunned. A wave of uneasiness surged into everyone's heart. They stared at Su Yiling and did not dare to move. They saw Su Yiling take out a picture scroll in no hurry. Chapter 66. After seeing this picture scroll, the four corpse puppet generals breathed a sigh of relief. Scare me to death. I thought she was holding back some big move. Yeah, it's really good. I can't see any clues. No way. Little doll, you want to use a picture scroll to deal with us? Are you here to be funny? It's so funny. The four corpse puppet generals shook their heads. Just now, they were nervous and used various means to look at the picture scroll. No matter how they looked, there was no spiritual power fluctuation on the scroll. Presumably, it was no different from the secular picture scroll. This kind of thing, except for the group of trash who couldn't cultivate, no one would like it. Use this secular thing to deal with us? However, in the next second, the four people's faces changed dramatically, and their bodies trembled involuntarily. At this moment, Su Yiling had already spread out the picture scroll. A snowy scene appeared in front of the four people. The biting cold came out of the picture scroll and wrapped the four people. This is impossible. Such a terrifying Dao rhyme, too terrifying. Who the hell is it, has such strength? No. The four corpse puppet generals' voices trembled, and they let out a cry of unwillingness. As soon as their voices sounded, they stopped abruptly. Their bodies turned into ice sculptures, frozen in place, motionless. A gust of wind flew out of the picture scroll. Boom! For burst sounded. Immediately afterward, the four corpse puppets exploded into pieces and splashed around. Until death, they did not make a scream. All around, there was dead silence. A group of immortal cultivators stared at this scene blankly, full of disbelief. The heavy snow presses the pine tree, and the pine tree stands straight. Su Yiling finished this sentence. Buzz, the world trembled. They saw that the picture scroll in Su Yiling's hand flew out and grew rapidly in the sky. When the space dragon ancestor saw this scene, his face changed slightly. Damn, world tree, you have also become a bootlicker. Unexpectedly become a pine tree in the painting. The space dragon ancestor said. These words were only transmitted into the painting, and no one heard it. Oh, you're not the same, willing to be bound in a sculpture. The voice came from the painting. Immediately afterward, a pine tree flew out of the painting and stood over the jade pool. I have a fate with the young master. The space dragon ancestor snorted coldly. Oh, is that so? He's just a bootlicker. The world tree spoke without any mercy. The space dragon ancestor was speechless and snorted coldly. I can't be bothered with you. After saying that, the space dragon ancestor's figure rapidly shrank. In less than a moment, it turned into a sculpture and flew back into Mu Bing's hand. Above the Jade Lake. Boundless spiritual energy gushed out from the scroll. Owl! There was a roar of hail. The spiritual energy formed a gale that surrounded the world tree. Immediately after, threads of light sprinkled down from the world tree. It was like the Milky Way pouring down from the nine heavens. The entire Jade Lake Palace was changing rapidly. As long as you stay in the Jade Lake Palace, even if you don't cultivate, the surrounding spiritual energy is silently rushing to everyone's meridians. The problem was that this spiritual energy was 10 times easier to absorb than high-tier spiritual stones. In just a single breath, his strength had grown several times faster than normal cultivation. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. This method, this ability, it was heaven-defying to the extreme, unimaginable. What kind of existence was the creator of this scroll? In the sky, the pine tree was growing rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a 1,000-meter-tall tree. From a distance, it looked like a giant peak. Subsequently, the pine tree slowly fell and took root in the forbidden area of the Jade Lake Palace. From a distance, it looked like a world tree, standing proudly in the sky, supporting the world. The breath of life, continuous, seemed to be unable to stop, filling every corner of the Jade Lake Palace. For a long time, the sky scroll gradually shrank and returned to Su Yiling's hands. At this moment, everyone was stunned in place, motionless. That kind of astonishment, that kind of shock, it was written all over everyone's face. They looked at the 1,000-meter-tall pine tree, shining brightly. Young master, you are transforming the destiny of the Jade Lake Palace. Su Yiling muttered to herself, her heart pounding. You are really omnipotent. She opened the scroll in her hand and found that the pine tree on it had disappeared, but the ice and snow inside were still there. Endless Tao rhymes, vibrating out, seemed to be able to freeze everything. Young master, thank you. Su Yiling took back the scroll, full of emotion. A moment later, a group of cultivators recovered from the shock. My horse. Such a terrifying means it's too shocking. I'm afraid there is no such place in the entire Tianluo continent with such a strong spiritual energy. That is, even the Central Region Holy Land. Compared with here, I'm afraid it's far worse. If I can stay here for a year, even if I don't cultivate, I'm afraid I can break through several realms. The sound of explosions kept ringing. Mu Bing pressed her violently beating heart, took a few long breaths, and calmed down a little. This method is completely seizing the good fortune of heaven and earth. Young master, what kind of existence are you? Mu Bing looked in the direction of the great demon mountain with a bright look. Thinking about it, she actually wanted to expose the young master. Thinking about it, there was a burst of fear. That was completely brainless, and she didn't want to live. Fortunately, she formed a good relationship with the young master. Young master, thank you. In Luo Liuyan's eyes, the light was constantly shining. This must be after she passed the test. The young master changed the Jade Lake Palace into a supreme holy land. This great kindness would be unforgettable. Withdrawing her mood, Luo Liuyan's eyes swept. The cold killing intent rolled out. Those cultivators who were still in shock instantly woke up. Without thinking about it, they knelt on the ground one by one. Palace Master Luo, please be magnanimous and spare our lives. Palace Master Luo, it's all our greed. It has nothing to do with other disciples. Please let them go. Jade Lake Palace Master, I am greedy, but the subordinates are innocent. Please spare their lives. I will let you deal with them. The first few people directly knelt in front of Luo Liuyan and kept kowtowing. Attack my Jade Lake Palace. You still want me to let you go. Do you think my Jade Lake Palace is easy to bully? Luo Liuyan's voice was cold. Palace Master Luo, we are wrong. We are really wrong. Please spare our lives. A group of cultivators, lying on the ground, shivering. The death penalty can be avoided, but the punishment is hard to forgive. You guys abolish your own cultivation. Others become slaves of Jade Lake Palace. Do you understand? Luo Liuyan's voice was cold, rolling out. Yes, Palace Master. The first few people, without any hesitation, directly shattered their dantian. Although they became mortals, at least they were still alive. The other cultivators knelt on the ground, full of gratitude. Great, we can even become slaves of Jade Lake Palace. It's really a blessing from the previous life. Yes, now Jade Lake has become a supreme holy land and become slaves. It's a good thing for us. Many cultivators' faces were full of joy. However, they thought too much. You wait. Leave Jade Lake Palace immediately. Stay at the foot of the mountain and be on standby. As long as one person escapes, all of them will be executed together. The cold voice, like a piercing chill, surged through everyone. At this time, those who wanted to stay in Jade Lake Palace to cultivate were like deflated balls. Those who wanted to escape also put away their thoughts. With joint responsibility, it was impossible to escape. As for everyone fleeing together, courting death, nearly 10,000 cultivators, like a defeated army, hung their heads without any spirit. From then on, they became slaves and could only listen to Jade Lake Palace. When everyone left, Luo Liuyan walked to the front of the crowd and said, "Let's go to the secret room." Good. Chen Dao Ming and others nodded together, followed Luo Liuyan, and went quickly. Chapter 67. Jade Lake Palace, in a secret room. Everyone, do you understand what the young master means? Luo Liuyan looked at the three people and asked. Fellow Taoist Luo. Chen Dao Ming thought for a while and said, transforming Jade Lake Palace into a supreme holy land is a reward given by the young master. Yes. Speaking of this, Luo Liuyan showed a smile. Everyone has seen it. The young master's means are unimaginable. Just understanding the young master's meaning, there is such a good fortune. If we complete the young master's test and kill all the evil races, what do you think the young master will give us as a reward? As soon as these words came out, Hiss, the sound of cold air gasping kept ringing. There was no way to imagine it at all. The annihilation of the evil races must be completed. If you can become the young master's disciple, you can't cultivate for 1,000,000 lifetimes. Fellow Taoist Chun, in fact, we still haven't realized one thing. Luo Luyan said. There is one more thing. Chen Daoming looked puzzled. Do you remember when a young master talked to you about the evil races? Luo Luyan said. I remember, at that time, the young master was very angry, picked up a dead branch, and threw it into the pool. Speaking of this, Chen Daoming seemed to think of something. Dead branch, isn't it firewood? It turned out that the young master threw the firewood into Jade Lake, implying that Chai Yuanchu was going to attack Jade Lake Palace. It's so obvious. We didn't think of it. This understanding really needs to be improved. Chen Daoming's face was full of shame. Yes, we must think more about it in the future and understand the young master's intention. Luo Lian looked at Chen Daoming and nodded with satisfaction. Finally, she found a guy with a good brain. In the future, the two of them will work together, and the young master's intention will only be able to understand 50%. As for Mu Bing, although her brain is not stupid, there is always something missing. Thinking of this, Luo Luyan looked at Chen Daoming and continued to speak. Fellow Taoist Chun, the young master means that I should unite all the forces that can be united. So, I did not kill all the disciples of the Heavenly Underworld sect and the Raging Fire sect. In the future, they will be led by you, what do you think? Luo Luyan said. No problem. Chen Daoming nodded. If they do well and make great contributions, they can be rewarded, such as Supreme Spirit Tea. Come to the Jade Lake Palace to cultivate. Luo Luyan said. Chen Daoming Dao, Chun Daoming. What's Supreme Spirit Tea? Mu Bing revealed a puzzled expression. That was given to fellow Taoist Chun by the young master, who ordered him to fight against the evil race. Luo Luyan said. Not bad. After that, Chen Daoming took out all 3 bags of tea. When she opened it, Mu Bing was instantly stunned. This is enlightenment tea. Mu Bing let out a cry of surprise. The 3 of them smiled when they saw Mu Bing's surprised expression. Back then, when they saw the Tao Comprehension tea, they were also shocked to the extreme. However, he was completely numb now. To them, these things were peerless treasures. To the young master, it was just for drinking, not worth mentioning. Heavens, so many enlightenment tea leaves. There are at least a few thousand of them. If you take it out, aren't you afraid that I'll snatch it? Mu Bing said. Chen Daoming smiled slightly and did not take it to heart. Since the young master asked me to keep it, it must have been calculated that no one can take it away. If fellow Taoist Mu doesn't believe me, you can try. Chen Daoming said. This. Mu Bing thought of Sun Hao, the supreme existence, and instantly lost her mind. He had calculated everything and laid out a plan in advance. Divine beasts as pets, and demon immortals as servants. Even the ancient dragon clan dared to eat it. If she dared to grab it, she was afraid that she would disappear as soon as she made a move. Fellow Taoist Mu, since this thing was given by the young master, I naturally will not take it alone. We will set up a rule that only when the merit reaches a certain level can we be rewarded with enlightenment tea or even immortal tea. It's the same for everyone. What do you think of my proposal? Chen Daoming asked. Not bad. Luo Luyan nodded. Otherwise, we will call it the Evil Suppression Alliance. Accept thousands of disciples. This proposal is good, but the specific details need to be carefully considered. Otherwise, let's sit down and discuss it together. How about it? Luo Luyan said. Okay. Several people sat down and began to study it carefully. Time passed little by little, and in the blink of an eye, it was a day. After a day of discussion, the Evil Suppression Alliance's rules were initially formed. Later modifications needed to be discussed unanimously and voted for by the 4 people. Mu Bing walked out of Jade Lake Palace, and her whole body trembled slightly with excitement. This line, it was right to come. She and the young master formed a good karma. This was the beginning of good fortune. In the near future, she would definitely become an immortal. Thinking of this, Mu Bing breathed a long sigh of relief. She flew up and returned to the flying boat. Let's go. With a command, the flying boat opened. Time flew by, and in a blink of an eye, it was another 2 days. Supreme Court West Courtyard, in a secret room. Mu Bing sat inside, talking tirelessly. Opposite her sat a white-haired old man. He was the dean of the Supreme Court West Courtyard, Wenrensher. Wenrensher's calm face became more and more shocked as Mu Bing explained. There was a demon immortal in the pond, a mythological beast as a pet, a warehouse of spiritual weapons, and a painting scroll to seize good fortune. Everything was calculated and laid out in advance. Every means was extremely heaven-defying. Wenrensher was the so-called Wenrensher. The most terrifying thing was that even the ancient dragon clan was eaten. In this world, there was such a supreme existence. This godly cunning immortal was so terrifying and heaven-defying. Wenrensher opened his mouth wide and did not close it for a long time. Wenrensher took a breath of cold air and calmed down for a long time. According to what you said, that godly cunning immortal doesn't care about fame and fortune. Moreover, deliberately suppressing with Buddha to make others suspect that it was done by the Elysium. I'm afraid there is a deep meaning in this. He doesn't want people to discover him. Little Bing, the matter of the godly cunning immortal cannot be spread to outsiders. If someone asks, you will say that it was done by a Buddhist master. Wenrensher said, Dean, I understand. Mu Bing nodded heavily. But what about the Jade Lake Palace? This is seen by many cultivators. Then there is no way. Let them say it. It doesn't matter if they say that the godly cunning immortal suppressed it. However, the residence of the godly cunning immortal must not be leaked to others. Wenrensher said, Yes, Dean. Mu Bing nodded. Little Bing, then tell me about the godly cunning immortal's test. Wenrensher said, Yes, Dean. Mu Bing nodded and said, There are 3 tests. First, let me join forces with Luo Luyin and Chun Dao Ming to recruit the cultivators in the world to eradicate the evil race. Hearing this, Wenrensher's eyes lit up. So, I can also become a chess piece in the hands of the young master? Not bad. The second is to recruit 3 apprentices. After our discussion, we learned that there is a condition for the young master to recruit apprentices. That is, whoever can kill the lord of the evil race can become the young master's apprentice. Mu Bing said, What? The lord of the evil race? Wenrensher's face showed a trace of fear. 10,000 years ago, the lord of the evil race was already infinitely close to the existence of an immortal, and may even have become an immortal. With his own strength, it was tantamount to hitting a stone with an egg. It seemed that it was impossible to become the young master's apprentice. The third is a personal test. The young master now lacks black vein immortal gold. So Dean can... Mu Bing lowered her head with a face of shame. Asking the dean for immortal gold, she was really cheeky. No problem. You could take all my immortal gold. Wenrensher said, What? Mu Bing's face was full of disbelief. Dean, that is the treasure you have collected for many years. It is not good to give it all to me. What's wrong with it? After Wenrensher finished speaking, he immediately took out 8 pieces of black vein immortal gold from the space ring and handed them to Mu Bing. Were a few pieces of immortal gold. Wenrensher's face did not show any pain. Dean, this is the black vein immortal gold you have collected for 500 years. Don't you feel bad taking it all? Mu Bing said, It is my blessing that the young master can take a fancy to such a thing. How can I be stingy? Wenrensher said, Thank you, Dean. Mu Bing clasped her fists. Okay, hurry up and send it to the young master. Don't let him wait too long. Wenrensher said, Yes, Dean. After speaking, Mu Bing walked out. Wait. Wenrensher shouted, Dean, what else do you want? Mu Bing said, The young master has given you such a good fortune. It is a little disrespectful to let you send it alone. Let this old man go with you. This will show sincerity. Maybe the young master will have the next instruction. Wenrensher said, Okay, Dean. Then, Wenrensher followed Mu Bing and left quickly. Chapter 68. What? They're all dead? A man with no skin on his head roared angrily. 2 bloody eyes, sharp and deep, made people dare not look directly at him. He was the patriarch of the corpse puppet clan, Emohan. Patriarch, the soul lamps of the four great generals are all broken. On the ground, there was a man with black gas kneeling. Damn it! Emohan clenched his fists, and his joints exploded. The four great generals, one of his most powerful subordinates. He just listened to the evil lord's order to let them go and capture the godly cunning immortal. Unexpectedly, he never returned. Even the escape talisman did not escape. It seems that the godly cunning immortal is far from as simple as imagined. This time it's troublesome. Patriarch, what should we do now? Do you want to release the drought demon? Let him destroy the godly cunning immortal? No. Emohan refused directly. The drought demon is the trump card of our clan, and it will never be used unless it is a last resort. It is absolutely inappropriate to attack rashly without finding the residence of the godly cunning immortal. If we want to do it, we must kill him in one blow and not give him any chance to turn over. In addition, that group of bald donkeys came out again and began to destroy our good deeds, which is the biggest headache. Find out the bald donkeys hiding in the dark and obliterate them all. Emohan said, Patriarch is wise. All right, you're dismissed. Time flew by, and in a blink of an eye, it was another 2 days. These days, a major event spread throughout the western regions. This major event was the attack of the 4 evil clan corpse puppet generals on Jade Lake Palace, in a tea house in a certain city. A storyteller was surrounded by a group of cultivators. They listened carefully to the storyteller's eloquence and endless. Do you know? This time, it is the famous 4 heavenly kings of the corpse puppet clan. That means it's simply destroying the heavens and the earth. With a wave of his hand, the entire Jade Lake Palace became dark, and the wind blew. These winds, blowing on the cultivators, directly blasted into flying ashes. Countless immortal cultivators fell like wheat. How can a Jade Lake Palace resist the 4 heavenly kings? At this critical moment, the 4 heavenly kings even tried to kill the saint of Jade Lake Palace. The saintess of Jade Lake Palace is extremely beautiful. She is only 20 years old. How can she be the opponent of these 4 heavenly kings? It seems that the saintess will die in their hands. At this critical moment, guess what? At this point, the storyteller picked up the teacup and took a sip. Hurry up and say it. You're actually drinking tea at such a critical moment. You're really good at stirring up people's appetites. Exactly. Faced with the accusations of the immortal cultivators, the storyteller just smiled and said, Everyone, I haven't eaten today. I'm really exhausted. Let's talk about it another day. Isn't it just money? Is 1 spirit stone enough? I'll give you one too. A moment later, there was a pile of spirit stones in front of the storyteller. Since everyone is so generous, I will risk my life to accompany you. I won't be eating this meal. The storyteller continued. At this critical moment, the godly cunning immortal came. He is 10,000 meters tall, like an indomitable god. With a light wave, the bodies of the 4 heavenly kings collapsed and turned into powder. Even the soul was grasped by the godly cunning immortal and pinched into pieces. What? Even the soul didn't escape? The godly cunning immortal is too powerful. It's great that our human race has such a strong person. This godly cunning immortal is a supreme existence. Scenes like this were staged in various cities in the western regions. Even with the western regions as the center, it spread around. The name of the godly cunning immortal quickly spread to the ears of every cultivator and became a bright light in many people's hearts. Sunhow naturally didn't know about this. At this moment, he was standing on the top of the stone tower, looking around. Ahead, in the great Demon Mountain range, it was shrouded in clouds and mist. It looked majestic and had a bit of immortal style. The scenery in this great Demon Mountain range is really endless. Sunhow said, Young master is right. The wind and clouds of the great Demon Mountain change. Every moment is unique. Huang Rumung nodded. Rumung, with you by my side, no scenery is as beautiful as you. Sunhow said, Young master. Huang Rumung blushed and lowered her head shyly, Rumung can follow you. It's Rumung's blessing. Rumung, it's also my blessing to have you by my side. Sun Hao said, Young master. Huang Rumung was moved and threw herself into Sun Hao's arms. The two hugged each other. Sun Hao stroked her hair lightly. At this time, bang, the sound rang out. The hairpin on Huang Ruming's head fell to the ground and broke into two pieces. Finally broke. A sound that could not be heard by the ear sounded. It was Fen Zhao who was imprisoned in the hairpin that made this sound. After working hard day and night, Fen Zhao finally wiped out the thunder tribulation, lightning, and escaped. Haha, the old capital is finally free, no longer trapped in the hairpin. All this, thanks to the two of them, playing the guqin every day to help me break through. From today on, the old capital is a free man. After speaking, Fen Zhao turned into a transparent phantom and escaped from the hairpin. However, a big hand fell from the sky. The terrifying pressure, like the Nine Heavens prison, made Fen Zhao unable to move. This is impossible. My strength. In front of him, I don't even have the qualification to move. No, don't press me into the hairpin, don't. Fen Zhao struggled frantically. However, it was useless. It was pressed into the hairpin and couldn't move. The terrifying force of confinement shrouded the hairpin. Now, not to mention escaping the hairpin, even struggling in the hairpin, he couldn't do it. It's over. It's completely over. Fen Zhao's heart was like dead ashes, and he no longer moved. He looked at Sun Hao, and his eyes were full of horror. He is really a supreme existence. I'm afraid that the old ancestor of my clan is not qualified to be a dog for him. How would he be here? With him here, the old ancestor plans those things, I'm afraid. At this point, Fen Zhao's face was full of despair. It's cracked? Sun Hao picked up the hairpin on the ground, held it in his hand, and looked at it carefully. It's okay, young master. Huang Rumung said. Rumung, I'll make you another one. Sun Hao said. Hearing this, Huang Rumung's eyes showed a strange light. Young master, you are so kind. This little thing is not worth mentioning. Take me down. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. The two landed, and Sun Hao went straight to the iron forging room. In less than half a moment, he created a spring. Afterward, he went to the carving room, selected 2 pieces of good wood, and carved them into 2 pieces. After installing the spring, it became a hairpin. There's still something missing. It should be inlaid with a few beads, then it will look better. By the way, the gem that Rumung gave me last time is very beautiful. It's just right to be inlaid on it. However, those are used to decorate the room. Where did Rumung find it? Let her look for it again. Maybe she can find a few. Sun Hao picked up the 2 hairpins and looked at them for a while. The hairpin he made looked much better. If Fen Zhao was in the hairpin, it would be tragic. No, don't. Fen Zhao struggled wildly and screamed repeatedly. His body was torn apart a little, and then he was imprisoned in another hairpin. Although he didn't die, he didn't want to suffer this kind of tearing pain again. Damn it, I can only be imprisoned here for the rest of my life. Fen Zhao murmured, his face desperate. This new hairpin was completely a cage. Not to mention the current him. Even if his strength was 10,000 times stronger, no, 100 million times stronger, he was afraid that he couldn't escape. At least, the supreme existence didn't kill me. He trapped me in here. Does he want me to do something for him? If so, isn't this my own good fortune? Thinking so, Fen Zhao's face rekindled the light of hope. Chapter 69. Rumung, the hair clip is done. Sun Hao took the hairpin to Huang Rumung. Young master. Huang Rumung's eyes flickered, staring at Sun Hao. She tried to take the hair clip from Sun Hao's hand, but she couldn't move it at all. Rumung, there are still a few pearls missing. Sun Hao pointed to a few holes on the hairpin. Do you still have the gems you found last time? Demon crystal, Huang Rumung secretly said, instantly understanding Sun Hao's intention. Young master, wait a moment. I will look for it immediately. Okay, find more. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. After saying that, Huang Rumung came to the backyard. Her figure flashed and instantly disappeared. Young master, are you home? Not long after Huang Rumung left, a voice came from the front yard. Hearing this, Sun Hao's eyes flashed. Immortal cultivators? It seemed to be Miss Mu Bing. Did she find a disciple for herself? Sun Hao's face was full of joy. Since the last time they left, they had only obtained more than 4,000 blessing points in the past few days. The acquisition of these blessing points was a little baffling. It seemed to be obtained while drinking tea. There was no pattern to gaining blessing points. The only rule was to give things to immortal cultivators. Sun Hao opened the door, and after seeing the old man next to Mu Bing, a hint of joy flashed across his face. "Greetings, young master." When the two saw Sun Hao, they saluted respectfully. "Miss Mu Bing, this is?" Sun Hao asked. "Young master, this is our dean, Wen Renshi," Mu Bing said. "It turns out to be senior one." Sun Hao clasped his fist. "Young master, I wouldn't dare." Wen Renshi waved his hand again and again. "Young master, you can call me Old One." "Old One? That's not very good, is it?" Looking at his white hair and white beard, he must be an expert. How could he be so easy to talk to? Since the other party had requested it, he could only address him as such. "Old One, Miss Mu, please come inside." Sun Hao made a gesture of invitation. "Many thanks, young master." When Renshi cupped his fists, took out 8 pieces of black-veined immortal gold, and respectfully handed them to Sun Hao. "Young master, this is just a small gift to show my respect. Please accept it." When Renshi looked nervous and uneasy. Truthfully speaking, how could a figure like the young master possibly take a fancy to this sort of low-grade immortal treasure? Come on. You're too polite to take gifts." Sun Hao's face was full of smiles. Holding the black-veined immortal gold, he sized it up and nodded in satisfaction. With so many black iron swords, they could at least forge 2 kitchen knives. It could even make 2 swords. What should I give them later? That's right, since they gave him black iron, then he would forge 2 long swords for them. This could be considered as taking it from him and using it for him. It was hard for them to refuse. How wonderful! Thinking of this, the corners of Sun Hao's mouth rose. When Renshi saw this scene, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The young master accepted it and was quite happy about it. To be able to satisfy the young master, this was good fortune. "Young master, we still have something to do, so we will leave first." When Renshi said, "Since you're here, let's have a cup of tea first." Sun Hao said, "Thank you, young master, no need." When Renshi said, "Why are you leaving? It won't take long to drink a cup of tea." "Since you're here, how can I let you go so easily?" Facing this group of cultivators, as long as he pulled his face, wouldn't they be obedient? True enough. When Renshi's face changed slightly when he saw Sun Hao. His scalp was numb, and he quickly clasped his fists. "Yes, young master. Please come inside." Sun Hao said, "Okay." The two followed behind. When Renshi looked nervous and didn't dare to breathe, for fear of offending the demon immortals in the pond. He glanced at the 1,000-color god lotus from the corner of his eyes, and his face changed dramatically. That was an extremely terrifying existence. Just glancing at it from the corner of his eyes, his heart sank to hell, and his whole body was cold. It was terrifying. Even though he was psychologically prepared, this glance also scared when Renshi badly. Quack! A duck's cry sounded. When Renshi trembled with fright when he heard it. Mu Bing mentioned this cry many times. He didn't even dare to raise his head and followed Sun Hao all the way. "Humph! In your eyes, this old man is not worthy of looking at." At this time, a voice sounded in his mind, like the ninth heaven's divine thunder. When Renshi's face changed dramatically. His face, which was originally red, became pale. "Senior, I dare not." When Renshi said, "Humph, does this have anything to do with dare? Quickly raise your head." "Yes, senior." When Renshi raised his head, and when he saw Ingyu, his pupils shrank and his heart jumped. Sure enough, it was the nine heavens god Luan. Even before he released his might, he was already unable to muster any will to resist. Young Master was really a supreme existence. Scared to death. Fortunately, he was well prepared. Otherwise, he would be scared half to death. Quack, quack. Ingyu surrounded Sun Hao, rubbing around from time to time. When Renshi couldn't hold anything else in his heart except shock. "You two, sit down for a while, I'll get the tea." After Sun Hao finished speaking, he walked to the inner room. When Runshur sat in the pavilion, looking nervous, he didn't even dare to enjoy the beautiful scenery around him. He felt as if he was in a group of terrifying big shots, being stared at by countless pairs of eyes. At this moment, his back was sweating and the roots stood up. Little Bing, the young master is such a terrifying existence. The tea he drinks, I'm afraid it's not simple, right? After a long time, when Rinshur felt a little better and used divine sense to communicate. Of course, if I'm right, the young master drinks at least supreme spirit tea or even enlightenment tea. Mu Bing said, how is this possible? Enlightenment tea tree. There's only one in this world, and only a few dozen tea leaves are produced in 3,000 years. When Runshur said, Mu Bing smiled slightly and didn't speak. Dean, you'll be surprised later. After a while, Sun Hao came quickly. In his hand, he held a bag of tea. Old one, Miss Mu, this is your first time drinking tea, so drink da Hong Po. After speaking, Sun Hao opened the tea leaves. At this moment, when Runshur was completely stunned in place, the corners of his mouth trembled, and his voice trembled. This so much enlightenment tea, my God. Isn't there only one enlightenment tea tree in the whole world? There are at least thousands of pieces. How many years has the young master collected them? At least hundreds of thousands of years. In this way, the young master has lived for hundreds of thousands of years? No wonder he's so powerful. Hiss, what? Dozens of pieces at a time? I must be dreaming. When Rinshur's heart beat violently, as if it was going to jump out of his throat. Soon, he would be able to drink enlightenment tea, and it was enlightenment tea with dozens of tea leaves. Ask the whole world, who else? If it weren't for the young master's presence, at this moment, he would definitely roar with excitement. For a long time, when Rinshur suppressed his beating heart and calmed down a little. Compared with when Rinshur, Mu Bing was not much better. When she saw Sun Hao grab dozens of tea leaves, her body trembled violently, and she was extremely excited. It took a long time for her to calm down. Young master, why didn't I see Miss Romang? Mu Bing asked. She helped me find the bead, Sun Hao said. As soon as these words came out, the two trembled. The young master needs beads. This is the young master's new instructions. This may be related to the evil race, so we must keep it in mind. The two looked at each other and nodded secretly. Young master, do you want me to help Miss Romang find it? Mu Bing asked. No, you drink tea first. Look, the tea is ready. Chapter 70. After drinking tea, when Rinshur and Mu Bing's faces showed a look of joy. This time, his comprehension ability had increased by 100-fold. From now on, there would be no more obstacles in his cultivation. All of this is thanks to the young master. He would never forget such a great favor. The two looked at Sun Hao with gratitude. Seeing this scene, Sun Hao just smiled slightly. So what if they were immortal cultivators? In front of his tea ceremony, he obediently surrendered. Old one, Miss Mu, are you using long swords? Sun Hao asked. Yes, young master. The two nodded in unison. Can you show me? Sun Hao asked. Of course. The two took out the long sword and handed it to Sun Hao. Sun Hao drew out his long sword and looked up and down. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up. The workmanship of these two long swords was crude, and they couldn't compare to his junk. He was afraid that even wood would be hard to cut. Just nice, I'll forge 2 new ones for them. If he didn't accept it, at most, he would just pull a long face. Thinking of this, the corner of Sun Hao's mouth rose. You two come with me, Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. The two stood up and followed Sun Hao to the iron forging room. Seeing the scene inside, the two of them were dumbfounded. How? A terrifying pressure blew over like a gale. Both of their bodies were pressed down to the point that they found it hard to breathe, and their faces were pale. Artifact spirit. They are all artifact spirits. When Rinshur looked at the smithy, their faces changed dramatically, and they hid behind Sun Hao. Only then did the two of them feel much better. Old one, Miss Mu, please wait a moment. After speaking, Sun Hao took out the black-veined immortal gold and threw it into the furnace. Then he turned on the stove. Phew! Raging flames soared into the sky. The black-veined immortal gold turned red at a visible rate. Seeing this scene, When Rinshir's face changed drastically. Immortal fire. This is immortal fire. To be able to burn the black vein immortal gold red in such a short time. It must be a supreme, immortal fire. When Rinshir was shocked in his heart, and he was scared silly in place. He stared blankly at Sun Hao, picked up the hammer, and began to beat. Ding! The sound of metal clashing rang out. The black vein, immortal gold, trembled violently and quickly spread out. 90% of the impurities had been removed. With one strike, 90% of the impurities were removed. He had never seen or heard of such a thing. This strike seemed simple, but it was earth-shattering. When Rinshir had a feeling that if this hammer hit the Supreme Court Western Courtyard, he was afraid that the entire Supreme Court Western Courtyard would be moved to the ground. Ding! Another hammer strike. All the impurities were removed. The hammer in Sun Hao's hand was like a whirlwind, beating quickly. Every hammer strike contained not a bit of strength, not a bit more, not a bit less. When Rinshir watched this scene, and the scenery in front of him changed rapidly. At this moment, he was the only one left in the world. In other words, he was the entire world. He had reached the legendary state of being one with heaven and man. An immortal skill quickly took shape in his mind. After a long time, he woke up from the state of the unity of heaven and man. This is the legendary sky blasting hammer technique. This is a celestial skill. I actually succeeded in comprehending it. Moreover, I was actually able to change it into the heaven blasting sword art. When Rinshir clenched his fists, his body trembling slightly with excitement. The fortune obtained from this trip was simply unimaginable. He had hope of becoming an immortal. Thank you, young master. In the future, if the young master has any errands, I will not hesitate to sacrifice my life. When Rinshir looked at Sun Hao, his face full of gratitude, Sun Hao continued to wave the hammer in his hand and continued to beat. A quarter of an hour later, 2 long swords were formed. It was dark, emitting a sharp metallic luster. Fixed shape, open the blade. The total time added up to less than half an hour. The 2 long swords were held in Sun Hao's hands. Old one, Miss Mu, I've been waiting for a long time. Are you satisfied with these 2 long swords? Sun Hao handed the 2 swords to the 2 people. When Rinshir was startled, picked up one of them and looked at it carefully. In his eyes, there was a look of shock. This is an immortal weapon. My God, the young master's refining skill is earth-shattering. When Rinshir kept looking at it, but he couldn't confirm its specific grade even after exhausting all his methods. One thing was certain, it was definitely an immortal weapon. With black-veined immortal gold alone, he could forge an immortal weapon. No one in the world could match this refining skill. Any refiner was just a joke in front of the young master. The young master's sword is almost flawless, perfect. When Rinshir said, Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth with a proud face. The supreme forging technique, that was no joke. It seemed that the weapons used by cultivators were also very ordinary. Should I go to the world of cultivators to open a weapon shop? No. The world of cultivators was too dangerous. The evil race was already so terrifying. What if another demon jumped out? It was safer to stay on the mountain. Since you like it, then they are yours. Sun Hao said, Young master, how can this be? When the 2 heard it, their faces changed drastically. How dare they accept this kind of immortal weapon? This thing must not be accepted. The 2 waved their hands again and again. What? Do you look down on my 2 swords? Sun Hao pulled his face and pretended to be angry. The 2's faces changed drastically. Young master, you misunderstood. I didn't mean that. Since the young master wants to give it to us, then we will accept it. Thank you, young master. The 2 took a long sword, held it in their hands, and looked at it carefully. Ding, the blessing point plus 500. Ding, the blessing point plus 200. Hearing these 2 sounds, Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth, and his heart was secretly happy. These cultivators were really strange. If they pulled down their faces a little, they would be scared and their faces would change drastically. Obediently accept my gift. Am I really a supreme big shot? Dream on. Sun Hao shook his head secretly and put this idea away. However, in general, This way of harvesting the blessing point was really comfortable. Good sword, good sword. When Rinshur held the long sword and kept cheering. Suddenly, Master, a voice sounded in his mind. When Rinshur's body froze, full of disbelief. Artifact spirit? It's a newborn artifact spirit? And recognized me as the master? At this moment, when Rinshur was completely shocked in place. Once a newborn artifact spirit recognizes a master, it will only follow the original master and never betray. Unless the original master dies, it will be subdued by a powerful cultivator. This kind of newborn artifact spirit has infinite possibilities. Moreover, the shaping space is huge. In other words, the immortal sword in his hand has growth potential. Hiss, when Rinshur took a breath of cold air and his body trembled slightly with excitement. This kind of immortal sword, selling the entire Supreme Court, can't be exchanged for one. Young master, you actually gave us one each, and you can't not accept it. What is the meaning of this? When Rinshur thought secretly, and his heart became more and more uneasy. Hey, young master is immortal. It's not good to ask directly. It's really a headache. I don't know, young master, what do you mean? When Rinshur frowned and thought deeply. On the other side, compared with when Rinshur, Mu Bing was even worse. She held the long sword as if stroking a child. After a long time, the two calmed down, and their faces showed anxiety. They respectfully clasped their fists to Sun Hao. Thank you, young master. We still have something to do today, so we will leave first. Since you two have something to do, I can't keep you. Remember to come often. Sure, sure. Watching when Rinshur and Mu Bing disappear, Sun Hao withdrew his gaze. Today's harvest is good. This one Rinshur is a big fish. It would be great if he came often in the future. Sun Hao opened the panel and saw that the blessing point had reached 15,380 points. One step closer to 1,000,000 blessing points. If this goes on, it won't be long before he can collect 1,000,000, obtain a supreme physique, and start the road of cultivation. Chapter 71. The center of the Great Demon Mountain Range. Hundreds of great demons gathered in one place to hold the Demon Lord selection. The selection was extremely brutal. Whoever was the strongest would be the next Demon Lord. A large tiger with white forehead leaped up and stood on the stage, its gaze sweeping around. I'm untalented, but I'm willing to be the Demon Lord. If you don't agree, then step forward. Finished. Roar. The tiger's roar shook the forest. The expressions of the greater demons changed drastically. Many great beasts backed off with terrified expressions. The white tiger has reached the peak of the Mahayana stage. He is only one step away from the crossing calamity stage. How terrifying! The position of Demon Lord will definitely belong to the white tiger. Hearing this, the eyes of the white-fronted tiger flickered, and its face was filled with a hint of pride. At this moment, I can't accept this. A two-headed rhinoceros stepped forward. Boom, boom. Every step the two-headed rhinoceros took caused the ground to tremble. Its huge body was twice the size of the white-fronted tiger. His body exuded a metallic luster, making him look indestructible. Humph, since you want to challenge me, you should be prepared to die. After saying that, the white-fronted tiger pounced at the twin-headed rhinoceros. Waves of demonic wind billowed. The shockwaves whistled and spread in all directions. The lesser demons nearby didn't even have the chance to struggle before they were smashed to pieces. The entire mountain forest was filled with explosions. It looked extremely terrifying. After a long while, only then did the sounds of battle gradually stop. The two-headed rhinoceros was covered in wounds. The white-fronted tiger pressed down on its body, its claws locked onto its vital parts. Do you surrender? The twin-headed rhinoceros looked dispirited and sighed inwardly. Demon Lord, little rhinoceros accepts. Huh. The white-fronted tiger let out a wild laugh and looked around. Who else is unconvinced? Wherever he looked, the monsters all knelt on the ground. The white forehead tiger was about to ascend to the position of Demon Lord. At this moment, the position of Demon Lord belongs to me. After that, a figure slowly condensed. He was dressed in black, and his face could not be seen clearly. That extremely dangerous aura caused the surrounding great demons to retreat. The shadow pointed at the white tiger. "You can come down now." When the white-fronted tiger heard this, its face was filled with rage. It wasn't easy for him to become the demon lord, but cultivators actually came to make trouble. "Preposterous. You're a human. Is it appropriate for you to be the demon lord?" The big white tiger said. "Hee, are you doubting me?" The black silhouette said coolly. "So what if I doubt it? Do you really think you're somebody?" With that said, the white-fronted tiger transformed into a gust of wind and pounced straight at the black shadow. Boom! There was a loud noise. The black shadow was like a kite with a broken string, flying backward and heavily hitting a rock. The entire rock burst open. "Humph! You overestimate yourself." The white tiger's face was full of disdain. In the next second, its expression changed drastically. The black shadow had unknowingly appeared in front of him. "Since that's the case, I'll show you my power." After saying that, the black shadow's body rapidly changed. His head split into 2, then into 4. In the end, it turned into 9 heads. It stretched its long neck and stretched upwards. Black chi surged wildly from its body. Seeing this, the surrounding beasts were astounded. "Hydra, how could such a great demon come here?" It is said that the Hydra was born in the Mahayana realm. Looking at its strength, it is at least in the Ascendant realm. When the white-fronted tiger saw the Hydra, it was scared to death. It crawled on the ground, shivering. "Demon Lord, spare my life. Dare to provoke this seat's divine power. Kill it." "I don't think it's necessary. The princess's life and death are unknown, and it's needed to help find her. One more is not much. One less is not much. It's the same." "I think that's fine." The 9 heads let out different sounds. Most of the heads supported the destruction of the white-fronted tiger. The white-fronted tiger's body sank into hell, and it instantly lost its spirit. The Hydra's tongue spat wildly and rushed toward the white-fronted tiger. Seeing that, the white-fronted tiger was about to be torn into pieces. At this time, a figure appeared in front of the Hydra. Her white clothes were whiter than snow, and her body was surrounded by immortal chi. She was so beautiful that it was suffocating. The person who came was Huang Rumeng. "Hydra, it's really you." Huang Rumeng looked at the Hydra and said calmly. The expressions of the 9 heads changed, and each was different. There was panic, pride, and disbelief. "Princess, it seems that you are not dead yet. I really didn't expect that you not only recovered, but your strength has also increased a lot. Since you know everything, then don't blame me." As soon as the words fell, the Hydra rushed into a bolt of lightning and rushed toward Huang Rumeng. The 9 heads spewed out different poisonous mists, and in an instant, it enveloped Huang Rumeng. "Ha! Princess, you are really dull. You don't even understand the principle of striking first and gaining the upper hand. Yes, we have followed her for so long. It's really stupid." The 9 heads spat out different voices. However, in the next second, the Hydra's expression changed drastically. They looked at Huang Rumeng and kept shaking their heads. "This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. This is a dream. Ouch, why did you bite me? It hurts so much." Exclamations kept sounding. They saw that when the poisonous mist touched Huang Rumeng, it was all evaporated into nothingness by her clothes. It couldn't get close at all. To be able to isolate our poison, it is at least a superb spirit weapon. This kind of thing, if it is used as a gift to the master, it will get supreme benefits. Give a fart. Naturally, it is for our own use. The Hydra stared at Huang Rumeng as if staring at a treasure. That depends on whether you have a life to enjoy it." After speaking, Huang Rumeng gently waved her hands. What she used was the Nirvana handprint that she realized from Sun Hao. Space was still. Time froze. The only thing that was moving was Huang Rumeng's handprints. The Hydra was stunned in place and could only watch the handprint attack helplessly. What is this? It's terrible. It's over. The strength of the princess is at least the 3rd stage of Ascendant Realm. As soon as these thoughts were formed, the Nirvana hand blasted on it. Boom! Boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing. The Hydra's 8 heads and 8 necks directly exploded into powder. The remaining head lay on the ground, shivering. "Princess, spare me. I didn't betray you. They betrayed you. I really can't tell you the truth. Please spare my life." After speaking, the Hydra, no, a snake, kept kowtowing. Huang Ruming looked at a snake, and her voice was cold. "You are still alive now because you have not betrayed me. From today onwards, you will be the Demon Lord. You must report to me at all times." After speaking, Huang Ruming threw out a jade slip and threw it in front of a snake. "Thank you, Princess. Thank you, Princess. I will definitely complete the task." The snake kept kowtowing. "Listen to me again." After speaking, Huang Ruming took out the ancient zither and began to play. Chapter 72. Ding! The sound of the ancient zither spread throughout the demon cave. A wave of spiritual energy, like a tsunami, was brewing with the sound of the zither. As Huang Ruming's rhythm accelerated, the spiritual energy became more active. The spiritual energy formed 8 huge waves and rushed to the 8 wounds of the snake. 8 heads grew out quickly. When the sound of the zither ended, the 9-headed snake recovered as before. However, there was only one consciousness in the whole body. "Thank you, Princess." The 9-headed snake sensed all his changes, and his body trembled with excitement. He looked at Huang Ruming's eyes full of gratitude. "After you were the Demon Lord for a while, take my head back to report," Huang Ruming said. As soon as these words came out, the 9-headed snake shivered in fear, crawled on the ground, and kept kowtowing. "Princess, I don't dare. Princess, don't worry. I have no intention of betrayal." The 9-headed snake kept kowtowing. "I'm not asking you to kill me." After speaking, Huang Ruming waved her right hand, and a head quickly condensed in the void. This head looked exactly the same as Huang Ruming's. The blood inside was exactly the same as in her body. "This head, as long as I don't meet an immortal, I can't see any clues. After a month, you take this head, go back to report, and then report everything to me," Huang Ruming said. Looking at the fake head in the sky, the 9-headed snake breathed a sigh of relief. "Princess, don't worry, leave everything to me." The 9-headed snake patted his chest. "Okay, I have something to leave, and I will leave this place to you." After speaking, Huang Ruming waved her right hand, and the 8 demon cores flew back and fell into her palm. Immediately afterward, her figure disappeared instantly. When she appeared again, she had returned to the backyard. "Rumung, how is it? Did you find a gem?" Seeing Huang Rumung, Sun Hao looked happy. "Young master, I just found 8. Is it enough?" After speaking, Huang Ruming took out the 8 demon cores of the 9-headed snake. "Just right." Sun Hao took the demon cores in his hand and went to the carving room. After some manipulation, the 8 demon cores were successfully embedded in the hair clip. The 8 demon cores were of different colors. They were shiny and very dazzling. Sun Hao took them in his hand and nodded with satisfaction. "It looks so much better. Rum should like it." After speaking, Sun Hao picked up the hairpin and walked out. There were 2 sides to the conversation. After when Ren Shi and Mu Bing left Sun Hao's residence, they were depressed. "Dean, with your knowledge, can't you understand the young master's deep meaning?" Mu Bing asked. "How can young master's instructions be so easily understood?" When Ren Shi shook his head for a while, his face bitter. "Young master needs beads? What kind of bead is it? Also, why did the young master give us the immortal sword? Do you want us to help you find the pearl? Where to find it and how to find it are really difficult." When Ren Shi sighed, "Dean, why don't we go to Jade Lake Palace? Maybe Lu Yin will know." Mu Bing said, "That's reasonable. 3 cobblers are worth a fortune teller. Let's go to the Jade Lake Palace." When Ren Shi's eyes bloomed, and he flew quickly to the Jade Lake Palace. "Dean, slow down, wait for me." Mu Bing used all her strength, but still couldn't catch up with Ren Shi. "So slow. When will you break through to the Ascendant Realm?" "Forget it. I'll take you there." After speaking, when Ren Shi waved his right hand, and a spiritual energy wrapped Mu Bing. Immediately afterward, the 2 turned into a long rainbow and rushed away. Half a day later, The two came to the secret room of the Jade Lake Palace. Dean, what can I do for you? Luo Luyan asked. Luyan, we just gave the young master the black-veined immortal crystal, and the young master built 2 immortal weapons for us. After speaking, Wen Renshi went straight to the point, took out the immortal sword, and handed it to Luo Luyan. Seeing the immortal sword in front of her, Luo Luyan's pupils shrank, and her face was full of shock. It's actually a growth immortal weapon? Was it really made by the young master? Luo Luyan asked. Of course, we saw the young master make it with our own eyes. Mu Bing said. Hearing this, Luo Luyan took a breath. So, the young master not only did not accept your gifts, but also made you an immortal weapon? Luo Luyan asked. Not bad. The two nodded at the same time. Tell me everything from the time you met the young master to the time he gave you the immortal sword. Don't miss every expression and every movement of the young master. Luo Luyan said. Good. When Renshi said, from the beginning to the end, it was very detailed. Luo Luyan listened carefully, frowning and thinking. In this way, the young master really wants you to find the bead. It's hard to understand what kind of bead it is for a while. Luo Luyan said. Yes, we are also distressed. If we take a common bead, it will definitely chill the young master's heart. Not to mention becoming the young master's disciple. This path of creation will be cut off. When Renshi's face was bitter and fidgety. Compared with the Dean who controlled everything before, it was a far cry. Dean, even you can't figure it out. I can't figure it out for a while. Luo Luyan shook her head slightly. Since the young master wants to find the bead, how about we carry out the elimination method? At this time, Chen Dao Ming stood up. Elimination method? Everyone's faces were full of doubts. The young master has even sent the immortal sword, and the place he is going must be a dangerous place. In this dangerous place, there must be bead treasures. We just need to find all these dangerous places in the Tianluo continent with beads, check them one by one, and eventually get the desired results. Chen Dao Ming said. As soon as these words came out, several people's faces were full of joy. This is a good idea. Fellow Taoist Chen, you are quick-witted and have a very high perception. This old man thanks you. Well said, well said. Several people looked at Chen Dao Ming, and their eyes flickered. Who is a map? I do. Spreading out the map, all 5 people stared at it. Tianluo continent. These 5 life forbidden zones must be dangerous. However, let alone us. Even if the immortals enter, they may not be able to get out. So, let's first abandon the 5 life forbidden zones and look for other dangerous places. What do you think? Chen Dao Ming asked. Little brother is right. I agree. When Renshi said, I don't agree. Luo Luyan shook her head slightly and said, Leader Luo, what do you think? Chen Dao Ming said, how can the bead that the young master needs be a secular object? In other dangerous places, the bead that can be obtained is at most a spiritual object. Does the young master want such a bead? To find an immortal object in the Tianluo continent, only the 5 life forbidden zones have it. Luo Luyan said. As soon as these words came out, everyone nodded in unison. Leader Luo is right. So we can only choose one of these 5 life forbidden zones. Yes. Chapter 73. Let's talk about the first one, the sinful cemetery. It's said that it was formed in ancient times. Legend has it that the Blue Moon ancient clan invaded the human race and wreaked havoc everywhere. The human race was in danger. At this critical moment, immortal Venerable Meng Lang sacrificed his own lifespan to condense a destructive attack that annihilated the entire Blue Moon clan. The force field formed by that punch, combined with the resentment of the Blue Moon tribe members, has the power to tear everything apart. Even if an immortal were to enter, it would be disastrous. Even after so many years have passed, none of the immortal cultivators who have entered have ever come out. When Renshi said word by word, and when he heard everyone's ears, he couldn't help but have goosebumps. The forbidden zone of life was truly terrifying. Luyan, what do you think? When Renshi asked, if the Blue Moon race invades, then this Sin cemetery will definitely have the Blue Moon race's ultimate treasure, the Blue Moon Pearl. This thing can suppress yin and yang, reverse the 5 elements, and freeze and crack everything. I don't know if young master needs this bead. Luo Luyin said. Then it's possible. If that's the case, I'll note this down first. Then, I'll analyze the next one. All right, just like that, the 5 of them began to analyze the 5 forbidden zones. Every single one of them told him everything they knew without holding anything back. After a while, now there's only the life forbidden zone of our western regions, the Blood Phoenix Nest. Luo Luyin said. In the Blood Phoenix Nest, there is a peerless demon beast, the Blood Phoenix. Legend has it that the Blood Phoenix was the patriarch of the Divine Phoenix clan. It invaded the human clan and was later sealed in the Blood Phoenix Nest by Han Xing. Above the Blood Phoenix Nest is a forbidden zone of death. There are rugged rocks inside, and spiritual energy is scarce. Moreover, there are wild beasts everywhere, and cultivators are extremely dangerous. That's not the most terrifying part, especially the sky above the Forbidden Death Zone. It's shrouded in phoenix smoke. Even if an immortal were to fly over it, he would die. Even if I can enter the Forbidden Death Zone, finding the entrance to the Blood Phoenix Nest is as difficult as ascending to heaven. Hearing this, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. The Blood Phoenix Nest sounded even more terrifying. Dean, is there anything like beads in the Blood Phoenix Nest? Luo Luyin asked. According to the ancient records, the thing suppressing the Blood Phoenix seems to be called the soul-suppressing orb. However, there are no relevant records on what this thing is used for and what it is used for. No one knows what the specific dangers are in the Blood Phoenix Nest, because none of the cultivators who had entered had come out. Its degree of danger is even more terrifying than the Sin cemetery. When Runshur said, in that case, the Blood Phoenix Nest is also one of the choices. Then we need to choose one from this Sin cemetery and the Blood Phoenix Nest. Luo Luyin said. Everyone nodded simultaneously. Although Su Yiling was still confused, she also nodded along. Which of the 2 places should I choose? When it came to choosing one of the 2, everyone was in a dilemma. Everyone furrowed their brows, revealing a pensive look. How about this? I go to the Sin cemetery, and you go to the Blood Phoenix Nest. When Runshur said, Dean, you can't. Luo Luyin shook her head, since the young master has calculated everything. Then these 2 immortal swords must not be separated. Otherwise, we can't get what the young master needs. Thank you for reminding me. When Rinshur's face showed a touch of fear. I heard that the Blood Phoenix Nest has been shaking very badly recently. It seems that the Blood Phoenix is about to break out of the ground. At this time, Mu Bing said. As soon as these words came out, everyone was taken aback. There was a sudden realization on Luo Luyin's face. I understand. The answer is in the Blood Phoenix Nest. Luo Luyin looked sure. What do you mean by this? When Renshur asked, the Blood Phoenix Nest is shaking, and the Blood Phoenix Nest is breaking out of the ground. Can a young master calculate it? Luo Luyin asked. Of course. When Renshur nodded, what cultivation technique does the Blood Phoenix cultivate? Luo Luyin asked. When Renshur frowned in thought, and suddenly raised his eyebrows. He seems to be cultivating the devouring heaven demonic art. As soon as these words came out, the faces of several others changed dramatically. The devouring heaven demonic art relied on devouring other creatures to grow oneself, which was against the harmony of heaven. Once this kind of monster broke out of the ground, it would be a disaster for the entire Tianluo continent and even the entire Xiang star. At that time, who would deal with it? Thinking about it made people shiver all over. Once the Blood Phoenix breaks out of the ground, I don't need to say more about the consequences, right? Luo Luyin said. Luyin, don't talk in riddles. Finish it all. When Runshur said, yes, Dean. Luo Luyin smiled slightly and continued to speak. Since the young master doesn't like the evil race and wants to destroy its whole race, he doesn't like the Blood Phoenix even more. Luo Luyin said, Luyin, do you mean that the young master asked us to go to the Blood Phoenix Nest to seize the pearl and secretly told us to destroy the Blood Phoenix? When Runshur asked. Not bad. Luo Luyan nodded. As soon as these words came out, everyone took a breath of cold air. The young master's intention was so deep. The young master is so righteous for the sake of the common people, regardless of the damage to his Tao heart. He pointed out so obviously. Yes, the young master's benevolence and righteousness are unmatched in the world. Several people's faces were full of moved expressions. The young master pointed out so obviously, and we still can't understand it. It's so stupid. Today, if it wasn't Luo Luyan, who could understand it? Everyone looked at Luo Luyan with admiration. Leader Luo, your perception is unparalleled in the world, Chen Dao Ming said while clasping his fist. You flatter me. This is everyone's wisdom. If we have one less person, I may not be able to understand it. Luo Luyan said. Leader Luo, you are too modest. That's right. Luyan, you are too modest. That's arrogance. Su Yiling stood next to her, showing a touch of embarrassment on her face. From beginning to end, she didn't say a word. She scratched her head, her face full of confusion. The young master just sent out 2 immortal swords and said that Sister Romong went to get the bead. How did it become going to the Blood Phoenix nest to get the bead and kill the Blood Phoenix? The young master's test is really too difficult. Why do I feel that my brain is getting stupider and stupider? Since I met the young master, I feel like a stupid girl, AI. Su Yiling sighed again and again, looking dispirited. In that case, let's confirm the candidates to go to the Blood Phoenix nest this time. Luo Luyan said. Entering the Blood Phoenix nest, 9 out of 10 will die. Those who enter inside cannot be too weak. Everyone, what realm are you in? When Runshur said, I am in the early stage of crossing calamity. Luo Luyan said, I am in the middle stage of crossing calamity. Mu Bing said, I am only in the late stage of void transformation. Su Yiling said, I have just reached the early stage of Deshang. Chen Dao Ming said, I have just reached the first step of the Ascendant Realm. This Blood Phoenix nest naturally count me in. When Runshur said, as the leader of the Evil Slayer Alliance, I can't stay out of it. Luo Luyan said, I have the immortal sword that the young master gave me, and the young master appointed me to go. Mu Bing said lightly, I want to go too. Su Yiling said, count me in too. Chen Dao Ming said, no. Luo Luyan looked at Chen Dao Ming and Su Yiling. Leader Chen, as the deputy leader, you need to take care of the Evil Slayer Alliance. Yiling, you are the Holy Maiden, and Master is not here. Everything in Jade Lake Palace needs you to take care of it. In addition, you two are low in strength. It is difficult for us to guarantee your safety. Cultivate hard in Jade Lake Palace. Luo Luyan said. The 2 lowered their heads and said nothing more. When will we leave? When Runshur asked. I think 10 days later, Dean Mu Bing, you go back and prepare. I also have to prepare. 10 days later, come to Jade Lake Palace to gather. Okay. Chapter 74. Thousands of miles north of the Great Demon Mountain, there was a forbidden zone for life, the Blood Phoenix Nest. Above the Blood Phoenix Nest, there was an endless forbidden zone of death, and Red Phoenix smoke shrouded the surroundings. Like blood, it shrouded the inside, impenetrable. Boom! In the forbidden zone of death, there was a constant vibration, low and rapid. The sand on the ground was trembling slightly. On this day, the vibration became lighter and lighter, and finally, it gradually disappeared. In the sky, the Red Phoenix smoke was gradually falling. North of the forbidden zone of death. More than a dozen black vortexes emerged. One after another, masked men in black armor emerged from the vortex. The 2 leaders were surrounded by black gas, covering their whole bodies, and their figures could not be seen clearly. The 2 of them were called Soul Eater and Soul Eater, and they were the commanders of the evil race. Beside the 2 of them, there were 10 generals. It seems that the high priest did not miscalculate. In a few days, the Phoenix smoke will sink more than half. At that time, we can see inside and enter safely. Soul Eater said, yes, but is it necessary to send us for a soul-calming pearl? Soul Eater said, How can we understand the meaning of the high priest and the patriarch? We just need to follow the order. Soul Eater said, Sai, this is the only way. However, this blood phoenix nest is a forbidden zone for life. Is it safe for us to enter it? Soul Eater said, Jia Jia. Soul Eater pointed at Soul Eater and let out a strange laugh. Are you still alive? As soon as these words came out, Soul Eater's expression stagnated, and he nodded unwillingly. Okay, hide first. And these 12 figures slowly disappeared as if they had never appeared. Soon after, at the south entrance of the Blood Phoenix Mountain, a long rainbow landed quickly and turned into a middle-aged man. He looked inside the forbidden zone of death, and his eyes were full of light. The vibration has disappeared, and the phoenix smoke is also sinking. It seems that the Blood Phoenix nest is about to open. I must inform the patriarch as soon as possible. After speaking, the man took out a piece of communication jade slip and quickly engraved words on it. Then, with a gentle pinch, the jade slip turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the horizon. Okay, the middle-aged man turned into a long rainbow and left quickly. Not long after he left, a few figures flew over. After taking a look at the forbidden death zone, their eyes shone brightly. Without saying a word, they each took out a jade slip to send a message. The news that the Blood Phoenix nest was about to open spread throughout the Tianluo continent in less than half a day. Heaven Luo continent, Central Region Sacred Ground, Xianyuan family's main hall. The head of the family, Xianyuan Yi, sat in the main seat and looked at the message on the jade slip in his hand. His eyes shone with a strange light. The Blood Phoenix nest vibrates and disappears, and the phoenix smoke sinks. Xianyuan Yi said. Hearing these words, the eyes of the elders in the other seats lit up as they whispered to each other. What? The tremors disappeared? Could it be that the Blood Phoenix was powerless to struggle? In this way, isn't the Blood Phoenix nest about to open? Great. It is said that there is a soul-suppressing orb inside. What use does the soul-suppressing orb have? He had no idea. If we can obtain the Blood Phoenix's demon core, it will be a supreme good fortune for our clan. The Blood Phoenix seems to have a heaven-devouring demonic technique. If we can obtain it together, then my Xianyuan family will definitely become the #1 family in the Tianluo continent. Such voices kept ringing out. Under Xianyuan Yi's constant gestures, the scene gradually quieted down. Elders, the Blood Phoenix's demon core must be obtained. Who among you is willing to go? As soon as these words came out, there was dead silence all around. All the elders lowered their heads and remained silent. Humph! Seeing this scene, Xianyuan Yi snorted coldly and shook his head for a while. This group of elders had been pampered for a long time. They usually clamored very loudly, but when they were asked to do something dangerous, they became a group of cowards. In Xianyuan Yi's eyes, a murderous intent flashed. Who is willing to go to the Blood Phoenix nest? Xianyuan Yi's voice increased. Me? At this moment, a woman's voice sounded. Everyone's eyes swept to this woman, and they couldn't help but look stunned. What? It's her. Xianyuan sure? She is so careless that she even dares to go to the Blood Phoenix nest. Does she want to die? It's just right for her to go. The group of elders whispered to each other below. You? Xianyuan Yi frowned slightly. Yes, patriarch. As a member of the Xianyuan family, it is my duty to do something for the family. Xianyuan sure said. You are still young, and your strength is still weak. Don't get involved in this matter. Xianyuan Yi waved his hand. Patriarch, I go down. Xianyuan Yi said. Xianyuan sure was speechless for a while. Patriarch, I have something to say. At this time, the great elder stood up. Great elder, please speak. Xianyuan Yi said. Xianyuan sure is already 80 years old, and she is not young. In addition, her strength is already at the second stage of the Ascendant Realm. In the entire Tianluo continent, she can also be ranked. As a family sequence, it is natural to share the family's burden. In addition, this time for Xianyuan sure, it is also a growth. Instead of raising her at home, it is better to let her go out to exercise. The great elder said, Patriarch, I also think Xianyuan sure can go. Yes, Patriarch, you won't raise her like a flower just because she is your daughter, will you? You are presumptuous. Xianyuan, he was furious. What? To tell the truth, Patriarch, do you want to kill me? Yes, Patriarch, if you do this, it will disappoint us. Soon, Xianyuan, he was accused by a group of elders, and suddenly like a deflated ball. Father, I'm willing to go. When Xianyuan sure said this, her eyes swept to a group of elders. Elders, you can rest assured that I will go to the blood phoenix nest. That's good. Niece, rest assured that we will guard the Xianyuan family and will not let other families succeed. You can rest assured that as long as you get back the monster core, the first sequence is yours. A group of elders patted their chests and promised. Xianyuan saw this scene, and anger surged in his chest. He looked at Xianyuan Sure and sighed secretly. Little Sure, father is useless. Even as a patriarch, I am still isolated. Remember what you said? Xianyuan Sure turned back, took a step, and strode out of the hall. Then, she turned into a long rainbow and flew quickly to the location of the blood phoenix nest. Not long after she left, a phantom slowly condensed and formed. He looked in the direction of the hall and sighed secretly. Patriarch, when I am not here, you have to be careful. After saying that, he followed Xianyuan Shure's direction and quickly left. In the hall, the corners of several elders' mouths were slightly raised, and they looked proud. You really sent him out. Xianyuan, you are quite confident. This is interesting. Xianyuan, let's see what you do. Oh, this Xianyuan family is going to change. I'd better be careful. Several elders looked at Xianyuan with different expressions. Chapter 75. When the blood phoenix nest opened, many forces in the Tianluo continent went out to the blood phoenix nest. For a time, the wind and clouds surged. At this moment, the forbidden zone for life had turned into a cornucopia, and all the forces wanted a share of the spoils. As the leader of the Suppressing Evil Alliance, Luo Luyin was the first to learn that the blood phoenix nest was about to open. Immediately, she contacted Wenrinshur and asked them to come to the Jade Lake Palace quickly. I didn't expect that the young master had already calculated that the blood phoenix nest was about to open. Luo Luyin looked in the direction of the great demon mountain with a look of worship. Young master, don't worry. This soul-suppressing orb will definitely be delivered. This blood phoenix must be killed. Luo Luyin clenched her fists with a firm face. For these, Sun Hao naturally did not know. At this moment, he was playing the zither with Huang Ruming. The zither played in unison, and the temperament vibrated out. The two songs blended together perfectly, creating a moving melody. Hearing it, one felt comfortable all over. The flower of the demonic lotus trembled violently. The two cherry trees danced gracefully, their branches trembling. The medicine garden, the flower garden, the tea garden, all the flowers and trees were dancing. Suddenly, Huang Rumeng clutched her chest, revealing a look of pain. Child, come quickly. I can't hold on any longer. Only juniors with the bloodline of the divine phoenix can hear my voice. My inheritance cannot be destroyed here. It needs to be passed on to future generations as soon as possible. If you hear these calls, come to the blood phoenix nest. The old voice resounded in his mind. His heart pounded violently, as if it was about to explode. Beads of sweat slowly overflowed from Huang Ruming's forehead. Ruming, what's wrong? Sun Hao hurried to Huang Ruming's side and helped her up. Young master, I'm fine. I've made you worry. Huang Rumeng revealed a pale smile. You're fine? Your face is so pale. After speaking, Sun Hao held Huang Ruming's hand and began to check her pulse. Your heart rate is unstable. It should be affected by some kind of sound wave. Rumeng, did you hear some kind of sound? Sun Hao said. Huang Rumeng looked startled, looking at Sun Hao as if he was a monster, and then nodded silently. Young master, old Ancestor is calling me. I may have to leave for a while. Huang Rumeng said. Ancestor? What ancestor? Sun Hao asked. Huang Rumeng looked at Sun Hao, and after sighing secretly, she spoke. Young master, In fact, I have the blood of the monster race flowing in my body. My clan's ancestor, Blood Phoenix, is calling me. Huang Ruming said. Blood Phoenix? Sun Hao frowned. He had never heard of this name. He had always lived on the mountain and knew very little about the affairs of the world. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something. He took out a map from his arms, pointed to the 3 big characters of Blood Phoenix Nest, and asked, "Are you going here?" "That's right, young master." Huang Ruming nodded. "This time, I came to the Great Monster Mountain to investigate the Blood Phoenix Nest." Sun Hao didn't speak and just stared at the 3 scarlet characters of Blood Phoenix Nest in a daze. This map was a product of the system. Red represented extreme danger. "How long will it take for you to come back from there?" Sun Hao asked. "Young master, I don't know. As short as a few months, long as a few decades." Huang Ruming said. Hearing this, Sun Hao's heart trembled. So long? Without her, would he become a loner again? How could this be? Looking at the beautiful elf in front of him, he was in a daze. He didn't know when he had been fascinated by her. Hearing that she was going to leave, there were 10,000 kinds of reluctance in his heart. As a mortal, he could only live for a few decades. When she saw him again, he was afraid that he had turned into a pile of bones. So sad. Sun Hao looked at Huang Ruming. "Ruming, can you not go?" "Young master, this..." Huang Ruming shook her head slightly. "The old ancestor is calling. I'm afraid I have to go." Blood Phoenix Nest was a dangerous place. If he went, he was afraid it would be very dangerous. By the way, she had an expert behind her. That expert could even control the weather. Besides, she was just going to the burial place of the old ancestor. The danger could be ignored. What danger could be ignored? Don't you know that red represents the forbidden zone of life? You will definitely die if you go in. It's not easy to be reborn. It's not easy to live again. And you're just going to die like this? What about the free and unfettered life? What about the freedom? Don't go. No, I must go. Otherwise, I can't pass this hurdle in my heart. 2 voices sounded in Sun Hao's mind. At this moment, he was extremely tangled. "Ruming, what realm are you now?" Sun Hao asked. "Young master, I have reached the 5th stage of Ascendant Realm." Huang Ruming said. 5th stage of Ascendant Realm? It sounded very powerful. "In this western region, how many people can beat you?" Sun Hao said. "Among human cultivators, I should be the first person." Huang Ruming said. "What? The first person? That's invincible? What else was there to be afraid of?" With Ruming by his side to protect him, he could walk sideways in the western region. "Ruming, let me go with you," Sun Hao said. When Huang Ruming heard this, her expression stagnated. "Young master, it's very dangerous inside." "Ruming, aren't you here? With you protecting me. Isn't it okay?" Sun Hao said. But the expression on Huang Ruming's face changed indefinitely. This time, with the young master's strength, there was no big problem. However, if the young master's Tao heart was damaged, I will never forgive myself. "No buts, Ruming. If you leave me alone at home, I'm afraid I won't be able to sleep and eat in peace. Isn't it just right to go with you to see the old ancestor?" Sun Hao held Huang Ruming's hands with an affectionate face. Huang Ruming lowered her face and blushed. Her heart was extremely hesitant and tangled. At this moment, since the young master wants to accompany you, he naturally has his reason. You can't refuse. At this time, the voice of the Lotus Demon came. Hearing this, Huang Ruming nodded. "Young master, that's fine. You come with me. I will protect you." "Okay." Sun Hao's face was full of joy. It was enough for her to say this. With the guarantee of safety, the rest was the blessing point. "Ruming, will there be cultivators in the place you're going this time?" Sun Hao asked. Huang Ruming frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful look. "Young master, the Blood Phoenix Nest is about to open, and there must be a lot of cultivators going there." Hearing this, Sun Hao's eyes sparkled. A lot of cultivators. Wouldn't that mean that he could give a lot of things and reap a lot of blessing points? This was an earth-shattering opportunity. It was very likely that this time he would reap a lot of blessing points, obtain a supreme physique, and open the path of cultivation. "Ruming, come with me." "Okay, young master." Immediately afterward, Sun Hao came to the carving room with Huang Ruming and pointed to the statues. Rumung, help me collect all these and bring them together. Okay. With a wave of her right hand, Huang Rumung put hundreds of statues into the space ring. Then, she followed Sun Hao to the blacksmith room. Put all these things away. Sun Hao said, Okay, young master. After speaking, Huang Rumung waved her right hand again, putting away all the hoes, rakes, kitchen knives, and so on. In this way, Sun Hao took Huang Rumung to every room and collected everything that could be collected. The last room was the study room. Sun Hao rolled up all the paintings and put them away. Hey, there are only a few dozen paintings. I don't know if it's enough. Sun Hao sighed secretly, looked at Huang Rumung, and asked, Rumung, when will we set off? In a few days. It hasn't opened yet. Huang Rumung said, Okay, in the next few days, I'm going to paint more. Rumung, if you feel bored, then go practice the zither. Sun Hao said, Young master, watching you paint is a complete enjoyment. How can it be boring? Besides, I want to help you grinding. Huang Rumung said, That's good. Spreading the rice paper, Sun Hao stood in front of it and took a deep breath. After Huang Rumung ground the ink, he picked up the brush and moved quickly. Chapter 76. The Forbidden Death Zone was a barren desert that stretched as far as the eye could see. Inside, there were jagged rocks and storms everywhere. From time to time, the sound of tremors could be heard. On this day, dozens of rays of light flew over and stood outside the forbidden zone of death. These people were all cultivators. They looked into the forbidden zone of death, and their pupils shrank. It feels extremely dangerous inside. Are we really going in? As a cultivator, you're actually afraid of danger. That's right. I've never seen such a cowardly, immortal cultivator. What a shame. Soon, someone took the lead and rushed inside. The others followed closely behind without any hesitation. Even the cultivator who was afraid of the forbidden zone of death, after secretly sighing, also rushed in. Scenes like this played out all around the Forbidden Death Zone. Most of those who were able to embark on the path of cultivators were no longer afraid of death. After half a day, 3 streaks of light flew over from the east of the Forbidden Death Zone. They were Luo Luyin, Mu Bing, and Wen Renshi. They stood high in the sky and looked into the Forbidden Death Zone, frowning slightly. Are you ready? Wen Renshi looked at Luo Luyin and asked, Dean, we are well prepared this time. Even if we are trapped inside, we should be able to support it for 30 to 50 years. Luo Luyin said, This is very good. The 2 of us prepared can also support for decades. Wen Renshi said, This time, we must get the soul-calming pearl and destroy the blood phoenix. Luo Luyin said, All right, let's go in. And the 3 of them turned into streaks of light and rushed into the forbidden zone of death. After entering, the 3 of them landed on the ground and carefully walked forward. The phoenix smoke was as red as blood. It enveloped the surroundings and blocked their line of sight. At most, he could only see 200 meters in front of him. Phew! Luo Luyin released her spiritual awareness and swept forward. However, just as she released it, she hurriedly retracted it, a trace of fear appearing on her face. This phoenix smoke can really block spiritual awareness. Everyone, don't use spiritual awareness. Luo Luyin said. And, when Renshi nodded, the 3 of them carefully walked forward. The surroundings were very quiet, not even the chirping of insects. Everyone could clearly hear the sound of their heartbeats. Dong dong. The rhythm was sometimes fast and sometimes slow, completely out of control. Phoenix smoke shrouded the area. The rocks were like monsters, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, as if they were about to pounce over. The atmosphere was oppressive. His anger grew, and he couldn't help but feel agitated. This phoenix smoke can affect the mind. Quickly use the shield. When Renshi said, the 3 of them immediately used their strength to form a shield around themselves. Sizzle. The friction between the phoenix smoke and the shield produced sizzling sounds. The energy within their bodies was rapidly draining away. If this goes on, we can only hold on for 5 years at most. We have to speed up. Okay, let's quickly find the entrance and enter the blood phoenix nest. The 3 of them strode forward and dashed forward. Ding! The sound of metal colliding rang out continuously. A 5-meter-tall, lion-like monster with rock-like skin was fighting a group of immortal cultivators. The monster's skin seemed to be made of metal. When the weapons in the hands of the immortal cultivators hit it, they could only leave shallow scratches. Corpses and bones littered the ground beneath the monster's feet. Every corpse belonged to a number of cultivators. Their bodies were deformed, and it was a tragic sight to behold. There were even some who were stomped into pulp by the monsters. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood. 3 pairs of eyes peeked out from behind a boulder. When they saw the scene in front of them, their pupils constricted and their faces showed traces of fear. "That's a lion rock beast," when Runshur exclaimed out loud. "Lion rock beast? What is that?" Luo Luyan asked. "Dean, is this scary?" Mu Bing asked. "More than scary. Lion rock beast is a kind of monster beast. And monster beasts are originally a kind of monster beast, but their spiritual wisdom has not been opened. They can't transform, and they have always maintained their wild nature. When they see a different species, they will only instinctively kill them. Their physical body and defense are extremely strong, and ordinary cultivators are not their opponents at all. This lion rock beast, I'm afraid its strength has reached the Mahayana realm. Even a crossing Calamity Realm cultivator is not its opponent." When Runshur said, hearing this, Luo Luyin and Mu Bing showed a trace of fear on their faces. They want to deal with a lion rock beast. They are completely courting death. When Runshur said, "Dean, should we make a move?" Mu Bing asked. "No, we need to preserve our strength and complete the young master's task. This is the most important thing. Yes, let's just watch." Several people hid behind the rocks and continued to watch. Roar! The lion rock beast roared, raised its claws, and slapped at a cultivator who was rushing over. A block! The cultivator arrived first, and a long sword aimed at the lion rock beast's claws and stabbed it. Boom! A sound rang out. The long sword in the cultivator's hand directly broke into pieces and splashed around. No! This cry just sounded, and then it stopped abruptly. The speed of the claws did not decrease, and it directly hit the cultivator's chest. Kacha! His chest sunk directly. The claws took the cultivator's body and blasted it to the ground. In an instant, this person turned into a meat sauce, and he couldn't be more dead. The miserable appearance made people unable to look directly at it. The cultivators around did not retreat because of the dead person. On the contrary, they rushed forward even more desperately. Destroy it, and you can get a lion rock heart. Whoever can kill it, when the time comes to sell it, give him half. Not far away, a big and strong man commanded a group of men. With his shout, the crowd of cultivators rushed forward without any regard for their lives. Kacha! Boom! Poof! The immortal cultivators continued to fall. After a moment, "A bunch of trash! Watch me!" The strong man snorted coldly, took out a giant hammer, and pounced straight at the lion rock beast. The corners of his mouth raised slightly. Finally, it's almost exhausted. Roar! The lion rock beast stretched out its claws and aimed at the giant hammer in the strong man's hand. Boom! With a loud noise, the giant hammer did not collapse into powder, but smashed the lion rock beast away. The lion rock beast fell heavily to the ground, smashing a piece of rock. It was about to struggle to stand up, but it saw the strong man falling from the sky and fiercely hit the lion rock beast's head. Boom! The lion rock beast's head roared, and it struggled several times but could not stand up. In the end, its head tilted, and there was no movement. Sect leader is amazing. Sect leader is mighty. The group of men shouted loudly. Hearing this, the strong man raised his head slightly. Arrogance and pride were written all over his face. At this time, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" A rude voice sounded. More than a dozen bald men quickly surrounded. Every single one of them had a body full of muscles. They wore fiery red robes, and there was a flame mark on their eyebrows. It looked like they were from the same sect. "You dare to stare at me? What if I stare at you?" "What?" After that, the bald man raised his hand and punched. Boom! With a loud bang, The cultivator was blasted away by a punch, bouncing several times on the ground before stopping. Poof! A mouthful of blood gushed out. One punch seriously injured him. When the other cultivators saw this scene, their faces changed slightly. They retreated one after another. This group of bald men directly surrounded the corpse of the lion rock beast, looking coldly at the strong man with the giant hammer. Chapter 77. The Mark of the Red Refining Sect. They are from the Red Refining Sect. What? The people of the northern region are all here? The six-class sects are so arrogant. Many cultivators discussed in low voices, not daring to look at those bald heads. Hearing the sound of fighting, more and more cultivators watched. The strong man with the giant hammer looked at these bald heads with an unwilling expression. He sacrificed dozens of brothers to kill the lion rock beast, seeing that he was about to open its stomach and take out the lion rock heart. Now, the people of the Red Refining Sect actually came. Damn it, he was unwilling to give it to them directly. The lion rock heart was no less than a top-grade spirit stone. He might not be able to obtain a top-grade spirit stone even if he worked hard for decades. Let's fight. What do you want? The strong man raised his giant hammer and pointed at the bald heads in front of him, shouting angrily. Go! The bald heads did not waste any time and pounced straight at the strong man. The strong man raised his hammer, aimed at a bald head, and smashed it hard. Buzz! As if hitting an ancient bell, there was a roar. The bald head's body flew backward and crashed into a rock. Then, the bald head immediately stood up, shook his head, gritted his teeth, and pounced at the strong man like a wild beast. Such a scene was seen by the crowd of cultivators, and their expressions changed drastically. The Red Refining Sect is indeed strong. This physical defense is probably not much worse than the lion rock beast. It's too terrifying. Fortunately, I didn't clash with them. Next to the lion rock beast, more than a dozen bald heads were like fierce tigers, pouncing on the strong man without a care for their lives. At first, the strong man could still deal with it. In the end, he was quickly defeated. The strong man's body was covered with bruises. Boom! He fell straight down like a cannonball and landed in the distance. He struggled to stand up, looked at the group of bald heads, and quickly left without looking back. His subordinates quickly followed behind him. The group of bald heads completely ignored these. They came to the side of the lion rock beast, picked up their long sabers, and cut open its stomach. However, the skin of the lion rock beast was as hard as iron and extremely difficult to break. It took a lot of strength to break open a hole. It took them a full hour to take out a fist-sized red crystal that looked like a heart from the stomach of the lion rock beast. As soon as this thing appeared, it instantly attracted hundreds of greedy eyes. Lion heart. This is definitely a top-grade spirit stone. This thing is even easier to absorb than supreme-grade spirit stones. The leader of the Baldies carefully kept the lion rock heart. Then, they strode away at top speed. Luo Luyin and the others watched this scene without any ripples on their faces. Following beside the young master, her horizons had been completely broadened. This kind of vulgar thing could not arouse their interest at all. Let's go too. Try to hide in the dark and save our strength. Luo Luyin said. All right. Then, the three of them quickly ran forward. Under the cover of the phoenix smoke, no one noticed them. West of the forbidden land of death. Phew! A figure dressed in light green muslin was flying. She was a woman with a determined look on her beautiful face. She was the daughter of the head of the Xianyuan clan, Xianyuan Shi. Father, once I obtain the Blood Phoenix's demon core, I'll definitely be able to help you break through. At that time, you won't have to listen to those elders anymore. Xianyuan Shi murmured and ran forward quickly. Suddenly, she stopped and looked at the blue boulder not far away, frowning slightly. Rumble. The sound of boulders rubbing against each other sounded. Xianyuan Shi's scalp went numb, and she retreated again and again. She hid behind a rock and watched from a distance. Phew! At this time, several figures flew in the phoenix smoke. Brothers, hurry up. We're about to reach the central area. Once we find the entrance and enter the Blood Phoenix nest, it is possible to get the Blood Phoenix's demon core. More than that, there's also the devouring heaven demonic technique. With that technique in hand, the world will belong to us. Hey, what's that? Several figures looked at the blue boulder in the distance, turned into long rainbows, and hurried away, standing on the blue boulder. Rumble. It sounded like thunder. Several people's scalps went numb and soared into the sky. Whoosh! Several whistling sounds exploded in their ears. Blue tentacles instantly penetrated the chests of several people and tied them up like dumplings. Then, they pulled back the blue boulder. Rumble. The blue boulder opened a big mouth and swallowed several people into it. Rumble. The sound of stones rubbing against each other kept ringing. After a while, it returned to calm. Even when they died, none of them let out a scream. Xian Yuan sure looked at this scene, and her pretty face showed an expression of lingering fear. It turned out to be the giant ice rock beast. I am afraid that even a 7th-stage Ascendant Realm powerhouse is not its opponent. This forbidden death zone is really terrifying. We must be careful. After speaking, Xian Yuan sure changed direction and ran away quickly. One day later, it was extremely quiet around the giant ice rock beast. Most of the cultivators had entered the hinterland. On this day, 2 figures came quickly from a distance. The one walking in front was Sun Hao. He looked around, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. It was said that this forbidden death zone was extremely dangerous. When cultivators enter it, they can't get out. However, that was for the weak. There was a master like Rumong by his side. After walking for a day, not to mention encountering danger, that they didn't even see a monster. It seemed that after sensing Ruming's aura, they were all scared away and didn't dare to approach at all. Since Rumong is so strong, we don't have to stay at home all the time in the future. We have to go out more. Sun Hao looked at Huang Rumong and nodded secretly. Then, he took Huang Ruming's little hand and led her forward. Suddenly, Huang Ruming stopped, looked ahead, and frowned slightly. "Young master, you stand here and rest for a while." Huang Ruming said. "Is there a monster?" Sun Hao asked. "And it's a giant ice rock beast. I'll be right back." After speaking, Huang Ruming's figure fluttered and left quickly. "Monster?" Sun Hao looked at Huang Ruming's figure and looked around. Rumble, a deafening sound rang out. He saw that a blue boulder stood up completely. 3 thick legs, like 3 pillars supporting the sky, were lying across the sky. On the legs, there was a huge blue round stone. It looked extremely strange. Isn't this kind of monster too strange? Sun Hao stared blankly, his face full of surprise. Who? Huang Rumling flew in front of the giant ice rock beast and looked at it calmly. Whoosh! Suddenly, dozens of sounds of breaking through the air sounded. Tentacles flew out of the giant ice rock beast's body and went straight to Huang Ruming. Above the tentacles, there was the power of extreme cold. The surrounding temperature dropped rapidly. When Huang Ruming saw this scene, her face did not change. She stretched out her right hand unhurriedly and waved it forward. It seemed to only waved once, but her strength waved countless times. Thousands of handprints merged together and blasted at the giant ice rock beast. Boom! A very light sound sounded, and the tentacles were cracking rapidly. Roar! The giant ice rock beast let out a shrill roar, shaking the whole world, and it was buzzing and trembling. Sun Hao saw this scene and broke into a cold sweat. Fortunately, he was far enough away. It was really terrifying inside. Die! Huang Ruming shouted softly, and a Nirvana handprint pressed on the giant ice rock beast. Kacha! The sound of stone cracking sounded. On the giant ice rock beast's body, cobweb-like cracks spread all over its body. Boom! An explosion. The giant ice rock beast directly burst apart and exploded into powder. Sun Hao looked at this scene in a daze, his face full of shock. She killed it with a slap? Such a terrifying monster couldn't bear a slap from Huang Ruming. Huang Ruming's strength could not be imagined at all. Then what else did he have to worry about? Book Pavilion. Thinking so, the corner of Sun Hao's mouth rose, and his whole person was extremely relaxed.